Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Public Forum. Please turn your cell phones to the vibrate, silence, or offsetting. The Gary Sansing Public Forum is intended for matters not included on the agenda of the upcoming Board of County Commissioners meeting. Citizens wishing to address the items on the agenda should sign up to speak to such items at the regular Board of County Commissioners meeting. Speakers shall refrain from any abusive or profane marks, disruptive outbursts, protests, or other conduct which interferes with the orderly conduct of the public forum. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes unless otherwise determined by the chair to allow sufficient time for speakers. The chair may call the meeting 5 minutes before the general meeting. We have exactly 20 speakers. We'll do 3 minutes to start out with. Mary Konopka, you're up first, Chief. And then Kevin Houghton, if you would like to come up, you're on deck. Okay. Just all the things, man. Hey, Mary.
Good afternoon. I'm Mary Konopka. Over 2/3 of the counties in the state of Florida assess impact fees from one degree to another, and citizens of those counties are happy. The developers are assessed impact fees and are expected to build complying to updated specs for stormwater drainage, road, sewage, and lighting. New development impact fees also fund police, fire, EMS, animal control, transportation, schools, and whatever else that county decides to put them to. The residents of these counties profit because they're not taxed to death. MSBU's for this and MSBU's for that, and raising millage rates because there's not enough money. The residents are really happy about that. Brevard County has the most beautiful little town, and they do impact fees. Titusville, I went there, it's lovely. All my fellow chiefs throughout the state that I have contact with are happy with impact fees. I hear the developers talk about how we need affordable housing, and they stand out there, go, oh, but we need affordable housing, and complying with these drainage things just too much, and it grabs your heart because you want to provide affordable housing. But their definition of affordable housing is whatever their definition is. The true definition of affordable housing you can find in Florida state statutes. There's certain things that have to be done to have your housing qualified as affordable housing, and it takes commitment, not just walk in, do it, and walk away with a handful of money. If you do that, if the developers will do affordable housing, the state will help them pay for stormwater drainage and other things that need to be done. So they don't pile it on affordable housing. They make affordable housing affordable. But the rest of the stuff, I mean, you know, I don't see a problem with it. Why pay for a house and then once you buy it, you have this MSBU you got to pay for, and this and that and the other? I know somebody was here a couple of weeks ago. They had to do MSBU for uplift.
Mary, I'm going to have you finalize your thoughts.
Well, I can't see why anybody wouldn't sit down and at least talk to us out here who are familiar with affordable housing. Because if they can't do that, that is fecal matter.
All right,
and we all know.
Thank you, Mary. I got 20 speakers tonight, so I got to keep pushing on. Kevin Houghton's up next.
That fecal matters.
Okay.
Larry wanted me to put that in.
Okay, we'll tell him thank you. Is Kevin here? All right, if not, we'll go to Guy Gerard. Is Guy here? All right. I have someone named just Morgan here. Is there a Morgan on there for rezoning? No? Okay. John J.D. White. Is John White here? Okay, come on up, John. Chris Konopka, I just met you, Master Chief. If you'd come up, you'll be on deck.
Good evening, everyone. My name is J.D. White. I live at 9044 Caribbean Drive in Pensacola, 32506, and I happen to be in District 1. I'm sure on many occasions, people coming before you have complaints, concerns, and voice their opinions on how the county has failed to meet their expectations. However, here tonight, to thank Commissioner Strauberger and his staff, I contacted his office via telephone and left a voicemail asking for information on who I could contact to have a large sinkhole in my backyard filled that I suspected had been the result of a drainage pipe issue coming from the street drainage line running through my property line and my neighbors. I expected not to hear back for a few days. To my surprise, within the next hour, Mr. Hill from the Commissioner Strauberger's staff returned my call. I explained my issue, and he stated that either ECUA or Public Works would be responsible for reviewing my issue and requested that I send him photographs. He then said he would get back to me after reviewing the photos. Again, I expected that I was getting the old canned response and would be waiting for days to hear back. But to my shock, Mr. Hill called me 2 hours later, informed me that Public Works would be doing the investigation because a holding pond was involved. I would like to personally thank and commend Mr. Hill for his quick response, his immediate action, and for making my issue appear to be #1 priority on that day. The next day, I was then contacted by Field Supervisor Justin Walker from Public Works, who stated that he would be out to visit my property and gave me a 2-day window. 2 days later, as promised, Division Manager James Duncan and Field Supervisor Justin Walker visited my property, met with me, my neighbor, and inspected the sinkhole and the holding pond where the water was supposed to be exiting the drain line. The problem was identified as a Public Works issue. Within 2 days, we had the request to enter our property and the use of correctional facility crew members to do the work. To make this long story short, the hole was filled, tracks from the backhoe were filled, my backyard was restored to how it looked prior to the work, my fence was reinstalled, and the tracks in front of my yard were filled as well. The entire process took a total of only 9 days, only 9 days. I want to thank James Duncan, Justin Walker, Road Construction Officer Jeff Latham, and Ryan Parker, equipment operators Grant Craig, Mike Jewell, and a special thank you to the correctional facility crew members.
Mr. White, if you could wrap up your thoughts.
I will. I'm almost done. The crew worked tirelessly to complete the task and totally respectful of my property. They dug the hole out, assisted with the repair of the pipeline, wheelbarrowed filled dirt from the trucks to the property, and cleaned up the dirt and debris, and finally cleaned up the street in front of my house. And I'm most appreciative for Commissioner Strauberger's group, and I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. White. That's great to hear those kind of stories, and good job for the staff. Mr. Konopka, you're up, and then Lisa Rogers is on deck.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Christopher Konopka. I just relocated back here from Japan after 30 years of naval service. I work in the field of nuclear and fluid systems engineering and project management. So while I was in the military in about 2014, I remember seeing posts from friends and family about the catastrophic flooding that was happening in Pensacola, Florida. And it tore at me. And I'd like to commend you all for what you have done so far, for the corrective actions for that flooding. But more needs to be done. As a community grows and we add more properties and more housing to our community, some things that we have to take into account is the impact of that growth. So with the growth that I am talking about specifically relates to flooding. As we build these properties and we put non-permeable substances on the ground, right, it affects the ability for absorption to take place. So the other things that we have to worry about are runoff and collection. So what I implore is that as we develop our community, we take the risks associated with flooding into account and have our developers charge impact assessments and perform the necessary requirements to make sure that we have proper absorption and runoff and collection. And then with that, proper inspections are done with objective quality evidence. And what I mean by that is our inspectors bringing back evidence of the inspections that they have done and what means were made to take care of the runoff and collection, and then we keep those in our records for further audit. So going back to what I was talking about in 2014, a friend of ours, Buddy Godwin, he was a county roof inspector. His wife died some time ago, but he's been complaining about flooding for years. And under his house, when his heirs went to remodel it, they found a lot of signs of flooding. It took them several $1,000s, like I think $10,000 to correct. So I'm gonna wrap this up.
Thank you.
The impact of flooding on our community is personal.
Thank you, Master Chief. I appreciate it. Lisa Rogers, are you out there? Okay, come on up, Lisa. And Diego Konopka is on deck. Go ahead, Lisa. It's your
Good
time.
afternoon, Lisa Rogers, 6036 Suntan Circle. Let me put on my eyes. I have a couple questions, and it does have to go with the flooding thing. I did notice that in February 20th, at a 9:15 meeting, there was an ordinance amending Chapter 1, Article 1.
Ma'am, will you pull the microphone down?
Oh, I'm
It's- yeah,
sorry.
Thank you.
An ordinance amending Chapter 1, Article 1 on stormwater quality and pond slopes and fencing, maintenance access. And it was discussed and then it was tabled because they wanted to find out what the state was going to do. And I apologize if something has come up since that February meeting that I missed. But I didn't see anything, what standards are going to be used by our county, and if it's going to be brought up and discussed amongst the board members again. I just think it's something that we need to, as a county, to control our flooding problems, to go ahead and address. And that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your comments. Diego, you're up. And then is Nora Wilcox in the audience?
Nora's couldn't make it.
Okay, I was wanting to see her. I think I worked with her. All right, go ahead, Diego.
Hello, my name's Diego Konopka, and I'm the founder of a political upstart called United America Front. I've been contacted over the past month by extended family, as well as other members of this constituency, to talk about a variety of issues, including the raising of MSBU taxes, and of course the flooding issue that was mentioned earlier. It is the opinion of this constituency that many of the issues brought up aren't being looked at properly. For example, there was concern about there was concern about flooding, and in response, the constituency was told that all impact fees would affect housing values. First off, when it comes to impact fees, they can be waived. And second of all, the state of Florida offers programs that helps counties make housing affordable, such as the SHIP program, among other programs and grants. As well as in the state of Florida, statutes say you have to report flooding to the buyer, which would destroy property value. And if the houses flood, unfortunately, beyond a certain point, you will have to sell the house. And without proper infrastructure, it's preventable. It's a preventable infrastructure disaster, really, and that's when it really comes down to it. Currently, the county was hoping to raise $34 million on MSBU's, on top of obtaining $40+ million from the sale of the old LF8 lots. And the concern from the constituency is that $34 million MSBU is simply for fire services. However, wouldn't the $40+ million from OLF8 already cover fire services? So I think the main problem is this constituency does not understand or really know the grasp of what this money is being used for. So I think it is the duty of this county board to outline this further, because you have many concerns here about flooding and about property taxes. I feel like an explanation would alleviate some of those concerns. I yield my floor.
Thank you, Diego. Chris Kerb, you're up, and then Gary Holt, you're on deck.
How y'all doing this evening? Chris Kerr with Flood Defenders. I'm sent a handout. I've given y'all that before. Mary Konopka mentioned some impact fees. You know, Santa Rosa County has impact fees. They just initiated that last year. And some more of a transportation impact fees. Escambia County has a drainage impact fee. Only problem is a nickel per square foot of impervious area for commercial development and $52.50 for one single family dwelling lot per square foot of impervious. Well, $52.50 is a straight flat fee. I got some pocket change for you, because that's all you're charging. That money doesn't pay for hardly anything, maybe a few miscellaneous drainage projects, but it takes a lot to build up that money to do anything with it. So why are we having all these flooding problems? Well, I told you about that the last meeting, and you told me, well, you need to get with the county engineer to come up with some design standards. Why hadn't the county engineer done the design standards? Well, she did. She brought them to you. She took them to the professional advisory committee. It went through the planning board, and she brought the ordinance up here for y'all to table it. We'll bring it back. Summer's over. That's what we said. We're going to table it for the summer and then take a look at it coming up. Let's bring it back. FDOT has adopted resilience action plan, which includes federal rainfall data. That's something I've been harping on up here, and I keep harping on it. I'd like to meet with every one of you individually and show you how this stormwater NOAA Atlas 14 and will be Atlas 15 coming out in 2026. Oh, that's the same time that our environmental resource permit regulations also are going to get tighter, and you're going to have to deal with nitrogen and phosphorus removal drainage calculations. I don't know how many minutes I got up there, but I'm going to leave it at that. Coming up here speaking and giving you handouts and sending you emails apparently ain't working. So I'd like to do a little one-on-one with you guys. I've done that in Santa Rosa County with a couple of commissioners, and they've got an ordinance coming up. But it doesn't include NOAA rainfall data either. Just letting you know, the future says that you're going to get a lawsuit if you keep allowing engineers to use rainfall data that's been archived by the state. It doesn't include the last 45 years of rainfall data. There's a lot of storms in the last 45 years that should be statistically added to the rainfall totals that you use for stormwater design.
Chris, can you finalize your thoughts?
That's about it. I'll give you a call. Hopefully I can set up a meeting with you, and like to set up in front of your computer so I can show you how it works. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Gary Holt, you're on deck, and Keith Wilkins, you're after Gary. Is he not coming? He left? He left? Okay, all right.
Good evening, Board. I guess am I next? It's always interesting when one person's talking about affordable housing and the next one's talking about impact fees. I know y'all have a tough job. I don't envy it at all. But back here to talk about customary use, I want to congratulate Ms. Rogers and the board on, I heard that the Windermere had dropped the lawsuit on the public easement that we have on Perdido Key, so that's great news. So that leaves us customary use, which are two separate animals. I emailed y'all last week to try to point that out. So customary use was passed by the legislature last spring. It was approved by the Senate, Senate Bill 1622. It passed the Senate 35-2. I want to read off the committees. You know, if you've ever been to Tallahassee, you know nothing happens easy, and probably Escambia County too, but all the committees that it had to go through, Committee Affairs Committee, the Judicial Committee, the Rules Committee, the Banking and Insurance Committee, Appropriations Committee on Agricultural, Environment, and General Government Committee. All these committees, which I guess, I don't know, there must be 20 representatives or senators on each committee, it had to go through those before it would get to the floor of the Senate. So all that was going on this spring. They all passed it. It was customary use was signed by the governor in June. So now the local governments, it's up to y'all to enforce it. They can't enforce it from Tallahassee. So I want to encourage you again, and I heard this week, last week, from staff that there needs to be an ordinance that hopefully I'm asking y'all to ask Ms. Rogers and her staff to draft an ordinance for customary use so you can look at it hopefully the first of the year and we can start working to have public discussion on the ordinance, fine tune it, get it to where we can all agree on it, and then pass the customary use. Now, you know it's going to be challenged. You know you're going to have a lawsuit. Either way, the people that get it, the people that don't get it. So you're going to be in court either way. My father always told me anybody can sue anybody, and I think y'all know that. So it's going to be in court. I know Allison can structure it to the best, that will that she can defend it. But she did a great job. I appreciate it again on the 75-foot public easement. I don't know if this picture came up yet, but if we don't get this done, this is the future of Perdido Key. And the fences, I've surfed all over the world. I think I told you all this last month. I've never seen a fence on the beach. Never seen a fence on the beach. But go to Access 1, you got one. And here, this is public, this is emergency management. Can't get down the beach because there's a fence. It's unbelievable. But this is the future if we don't do something, and hopefully we can get this worked out in the next year or so. Thanks again for listening to me and letting me know. Keith had to leave. He's got somebody to pick up at the airport. For years, he was the Neighborhood Environmental Services Committee or chairman when I was on the planning board when we hired him back in the 90s. But Keith worked at Fort Myers Beach as administrator after the hurricane. They have customary use down there. They have private beaches, but customary use, and it works out fine.
Thank you, Gary.
Hopefully he can come speak next time.
I
Thanks a lot.
appreciate your comments. Jerry Price, since Keith isn't here, you're up next. And then Connie Walker.
I got some pictures for. My name is Jerry Price, and I live at 27 Gulf Street. I'm here to talk about a problem, and I mentioned this the last meeting. And this is the intersection of New Warrington Road, Mobile Highway. Those pictures, the first one is the traffic and how much you have on that road. Only 14 cars can line up between those two stoplights. And then they back up on Lillian going westbound and coming in. You got old Corey Field. Those people are just hoping and praying somebody will let them in. And turning that median into a turn lane would be beneficial to the area and the safety concerned. The second picture is the dogs that they don't have leashes on some of them, and if they do have a leash, they're just walking around on the grass. They take them out into the median too with no leash. Can't can't do anything about it. And I wanted to ask if you, Mr. Kohler, or the other commissioners could call DOT and talk with Sean Lowry and see if the no trespass, no camping sign can be installed at that signal box. The reason being is they're stressed on money. They're not going to listen to me. I've harped all I can harp. And it takes somebody in government, and you guys, your signatures mean something. And you guys sitting up here, you're important. You get things done. And I have good things to say about all of you. You got Mr. Marino, Ms. Rogers, they're assets that you really can't do without.
Jerry, if I could just, the Sheriff's Department, we have a couple items on the agenda tonight. One, Commissioner Hoffberger let off on sleeping. The other one, the Sheriff's Department asked on the median, specifically that median to expand the ordinance that we'd already passed to 8.5 feet. We have contacted FDOT and asked if we could take that median out. They had said no at this time. I'm working with Tim Smith, so you're being heard. I just want to let you know the status of where we're at on all the things you just said.
I appreciate that comment. And that leaves the no trespass, no camping sign. That gets rid of a lot of the traffic around that signal box. That would keep them on the sidewalk and specifically in the median. But you got to do something about the dog, addressing that issue, because it's turned into a problem. U-Haul blankets on the fourth, fifth picture there. Mike, it'd be nice if you could talk to U-Haul and see if they'll start locking them up, because they just break in and take them.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Jerry. Connie Walker, is Connie out? Hey, Connie, come on up. And Kathy Rushing, you're after Connie.
Connie Walker, President, Perdido Key Association. The Perdido Key Association has completed its 2025 Perdido Key Property Owner Survey with printed copies provided to commissioners and others. It is also available on the PKA website. A survey of property owners has been conducted every 5 years for over 2 decades. Surveys questions were mailed in the past, but this year we employed Opal Research to conduct the survey online. Using various databases, approximately 3,500 individuals were contacted by email or text, with about 10% responding. Returns were less than the 2020 mail-out survey, but still at a 95% confidence level in responses, with a 5% margin of error in results. Colored bar chart graphics were included in the report to help assess relative positive and negative responses. Some conclusions are discussed inside the back cover page, such as the community valuing low-density living, natural beauty, and family-friendly amenities, but also looking for improvements and issues such as existing public beach access locations and walkability. There was strong support for the fire, rescue, and law enforcement efforts, but some frustration with political representation and getting a good return on tax dollars. Owners expressed significant support for shifting from above ground to underground utilities, along with a willingness to help pay for it through MSBU or similar tax measure. Owners also favored transportation improvements, such as on Perdido Key Drive, to include perhaps more turn lanes, adjusted speed limits, and continued efforts to improve the Perdido Key Drive Johnson Beach intersection, as well as dissatisfaction with traffic conditions north of Perdido Key. There was strong opposition to possible drilling for oil and gas in the Gulf near Perdido Key. Another controversial issue was the proposed large-scale fish farm for 26 miles offshore the Escambia County beaches that has been working its way through the federal approval process. While more respondents favored the proposal than opposed it, the largest response was neutral, which suggested many respondents did not have sufficient information to approve or disapprove. PKA, however, is against the fish farm and is part of the Don't Cage Our Ocean coalition opposing the construction. Looking back at the We Are Perdido initiative, substantial support remains for Perdido Area Incorporation. Overall, we believe the 2025 Perdido Key Property Owner Survey is a good product and that we hope will be useful in discussions and decisions regarding excuse me, actionable opportunities for Perdido Key's future. Thank you much for your attention. In the season of giving, thanks acknowledgments to PK Board, Escambia County Commissioners, administrators, county departments, and FDOT achievements in the past 5 years are to be grateful for. Have a safe and blessed holiday season.
Thank you, Ms. Walker. That looks like a very good study. Ms. Rushing, you're up, and then Andrew Schaefer is on deck.
I'm here tonight to say thank you to Commissioner Kroller for representing District 2 and being the fine chairman of the committee here your chairman, you people.
The board.
I want to also tell you that you have a fine road department. They have done outstanding work. They take care of things. But I also will recommend to you, commissioners, that when you have people call, find out if they've taken a video. Ask them if they haven't, if it happens again, can they get a video? I was able to go out and Sally and get a video. And by getting a video, I was able to give the road department, took a few years, but I finally got it over to them, how much water was coming off of Home Street. And he made the comment, I didn't realize just how much is coming off. And it was amazing because down the street, there's not much water coming off. But it's a deluge when it comes from there. But Commissioner Kroller, thank you for representing our district well, and I have no reason to be ashamed that you were the chairman for the year.
Thank you, ma'am, for the nice comments, and thanks for recognizing our Public Works Department. They do great work. Andrew Schaefer, are you here? Come on up, Andrew. And then Josh Roberson, you're on deck.
I'll be brief. Like most people, I worked and saved for years to buy a home out in the country after living in bad neighborhoods and putting up with things that you shouldn't have to put up with. And shortly after going through this process, I discovered Ashland Brosnan Park. I'm probably not saying the name right. Right now, there's no music playing in here. I don't hear any music in here. There's not any playing in your homes as well. But if you were in my home right now, you'd have to get in the car and leave, because the bass music is literally in my bedroom, bathroom, the whole house. And after spending over $100,000, that's pretty much unacceptable in my book. And I already have health issues as it is. I'd like to raise a family there, but would not allow my family to tolerate that. So I've got a problem that's got to be dealt with, or else I got to figure out how to get out of there, because I can't deal with that. I don't know how the other people in the community deal with it, but it can be stopped. You can stop it. There's been some communication in the past with people over in that area that have made it a little bit better, but that still don't negate the this week, and there's another week coming up for sure. So, see, I won't even be able to go home tonight till about 10 o'clock. If I do, my blood pressure and anger level and frustration will be at a level that is not good. So, anything that could be done in this matter would be greatly appreciated. And in the meantime, I'll try to make preparations to get farther out in the country, I suppose, if finances allow. That's easier said than done. I'm not getting any younger.
Have you notified the Sheriff's Department?
Yes, but they, you know, if it's the kids on the weekend or something, that's not the issue. Right now, they're having was it UWF? There's several soccer leagues out there. They've got big old giant speakers out there. So right now, that's the full week of that, and then there's another week coming up in December. But in between those segments, they have made, in discussion and calling, they have made efforts, and the results have been acceptable for me to stay put.
Okay, Mr. Schaefer, I appreciate you coming down and sharing your frustration.
Thank you.
Josh Roberson, you're up. And then Megan Walters is on deck. Hey, Josh.
Hey, good evening, Commissioners. How are you? Hope everyone's good. Great day today. It's awesome. Hey, I know that there was an interview you had this morning. I listened to it. Great interview. I hope you have a career after this. You can run. Great political interview. I brought some show and tell items. What does Pennywise have to do with the service?
What is that?
It's a coin. But what does Pennywise have to do with the float training group? Probably nothing. But I remember where I got it. What does Scooby-Doo and Friday the 13th have to do with the service? Nothing. But I remember where I got it. What does the dolphin or sailfish have to do with NATCC Pensacola? Nothing. But I remember where I got it. What does Popeye have to do with the Republic of Korea SEAL team and UDT team on a patch on their government uniform? Nothing. But I remember where the guy took it off and gave it to me. What does this have to do with the Virginia Beach Police Department? Nothing. But I remember where I got it. What does a checkerboard, not a checkerboard, maybe a chessboard and a rook, in chess it's a rook, but it's a horse, have to do with the Grand Masters, which is HSL 40, what is that? 46, oh, you know that? What does that have to do with that squadron? That's their badge, right, or their patch. I remember where I was and what I did to get this. Where I'm going with this is 25 years of history go on patches. I got a call, got information before I got here, but I'm still going to have this conversation. It's been held off. I'm asking for help from the commissioners. Please, please, please do not let the camaraderie, District 5, the camaraderie that goes with the guy that stood with you, beside you, that I spoke with the leg. Do not let that camaraderie in the paramilitary groups that serve our county every day, that run and fight what 99% of us fear just because of some badge that an administrative executive sitting behind a computer doesn't agree with. It's vetted by the people that you put in charge of that department, and there's nothing wrong with it. If they're okay with it because they've stood in that line of duty and they're fine with it, let them have it. It says Escambia County Fire Department on the front of it, just like that plane, that tank, that P-25 that shows up to the crash cart, and the crash cart all say Navy, Marine, Coast Guard, Space Force, Air Force. They all say that, but then also that squadron logo's on that tail. That comfort logo's on that ship. That's what I'm asking. Why take that camaraderie away? Why take those memories of those fallen people away? Leave it there. It's on the hall of the
Josh,
safety
you got to wrap
center.
up your comments.
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't see the time remaining.
I know, he's running it.
So that's all I'm asking is for the help from the commissioners that we elected to keep those things together.
We're actually addressing that. I found out about that today, so. Megan Walters, you're up.
Thank you.
You're up, and then Mel Pino, you're on deck.
Ironically, I had signed up over the weekend before things had transpired through the week. This is the first time that I've had a chance to come and speak. This is just something that's been on my heart. Excuse me. As a child here in Escambia County, when it became Christmas time, Santa Claus used to come around on the fire truck, and you got to tell Santa Claus what you wanted for Christmas. And then for a season, I got to ride around on the fire truck with my Santa Claus. And right after last Christmas, the Santa Claus that I believe in, he got really sick, and they found out he had cancer. And I spoke with him over the summer, and he is completely cancer-free. And that's the God that I believe in, is the God who is going to heal Santa Claus from cancer between Christmases. When I asked Santa if he believed in God, he said, absolutely. I believe in a God that is still present amidst government shutdowns, a God that walks with us through PTSD, anxiety, grief, fear, and addictions. Remember the names: Dave Bradshaw, Terrell Jackson, Maurice Bartholomew, Michael Curry. 4 line-of-duty deaths that significantly affected Escambia Fire Rescue and Pensacola Fire Department in some form or fashion. I believe in a God that is present amidst the joy, amidst the changing seasons, the fun, the day-to-day goings, and gives us 100-year snowstorms with the most perfect powder. She's not here, but Pam Childers, I pray for you, and respectfully, you are a badass. You are my hero, and I want to be like you when I grow up. Patches. You can take down the patches off the apparatus, but you can't take it out of the hearts. Just like you can't take the cancer, or just like the cancer that Santa got. And I think if some research was done, that Santa probably got that from firefighter foam used in the late 1900s defending Escambia County between Christmases. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mel Pino, you're up, and Kevin, you're on deck.
Thank you, Chairman Kohler. Melissa Pino, 413 Southeast Boblets. If we get the Navy Point vote tonight, God willing, you guys are going to get a big long break from Kevin and me, because we've been
Hold on, I'm recording that, Mel. No.
Seriously, is that an enticement to vote for it or what? So
You're
let's get a
welcome.
unanimous vote on that. And I really didn't want to say anything negative tonight, but I really didn't. I'm not even going to speak on those vacations, Mike. But I really could not look myself in the mirror if I didn't second what Josh Roberson and Megan Walters just said. It's just pointless, toxic workforce culture stuff, and it's taking root in the county again. It's happening again. Ain't happening from Wes. There's a through line on who's doing all of this stuff. And so really, you guys should take care of that before it runs away like it did the last time. Wes was doing a pretty good job of rooting out the toxic workforce, but it's all happening again. Also wanted to say that one of my very favorite people at the county's last night is tonight, and it's a really big bummer. David Hero is actually just one of the best people that Kevin and I have met. Just tirelessly supported us with our gazillions of questions and tech help, and he's just such a great guy and so unassuming, and he really didn't want us to say anything because he says he's a behind-the-scene guy, but he's just always been such a nice presence, and we're just gonna miss him so much. You know, he wouldn't even let there be a party or anything, but we'd love to drive everybody crazy with another round of cheap champagne and red Solo cups up in the parking ramp, but we only do that when we're happy somebody's leaving. And then finally, no Solo cups tonight. Finally, I do also want to support Gary Holt and Commissioner Strohberger. What I am hoping so much is you're going to see how happy everyone is about Navy Point Park, that it's going to become contagious. And you're going to open up customary use, because that would be a heck of a legacy for you. And we are still waiting on Strohberger Landing as well. We haven't forgotten about that. So don't forget about Beach Access 3, because even though it technically wouldn't be all that necessary for the customary use, it's needed so badly for parking after your predecessor blew it all away out there. So please help the people of Escambia. You know 85%, 90% of the people in Escambia County support the beach stuff, so couldn't really be a better legacy than getting that all opened. And congratulations on the Windermere dropping that suit, which never should have been brought to begin with.
Okay, thank you, Mel. Kevin, you're up, and then Francisca Yabrian is on deck. I think I may have chopped that name up. I apologize.
Kevin Wade, 413 Southeast Boblets. So a few of you were here in the days when I would sit back here with my phone up or a camera recording meetings. And it seemed like Mel and I were at every meeting, from planning meetings to CRA meetings and Triumph, the whole 9 yards. And at that time, I felt like the unofficial videographer. I was here to video the wonderful day that the giant mystery box was given to your predecessor. He gave that to himself. That was an interesting time. I would have to often post the meetings that I recorded online because the county had problems with getting the videos up. And, you know, I have to thank David Haro and everyone who helped him really nail down being able to move the videography to YouTube so that people can access the county videos. You know, it seemed like the clerk, in trying to make some sort of accessibility argument, whatever that was, took away searchability of videos and meeting notes. I've got a wonderful archive of really touching, funny moments and some amazing moments where the dialogue between the dais and the public really put a lot of people into a thinking position. And I know in the military, you've got photographs of things that you're going to wait to show your kids when they're 18 years old, maybe a little older than that. And the patches that you have and the stories that you tell, you know, and that's your house, that's your home, that's in your head forever and ever. And these patches on these firemen, you know, that significance of belonging to a house and that family, you know, there's a shortcut in communication that happens there. And them being able to show that, I can't see how that could hurt anyone. And those patches have already been like looked at by the administration, and you know, I like to see that. Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin. I'll wait for the invite to see the photos. Francisca, are you here? Come on. Yeah, how do I say your last name, ma'am?
Shobrian. It's
Okay.
Armenian, and I know it's a really easy name.
Well, I'm sorry, but
It's
it's
a
your
joke.
time.
It's a joke, you know. I always make jokes about if you can spell my name, you win the spelling bee. I actually know, I was going, you know, this woman kind of inspired me. I was just going to come up in here and speak about Navin Park and not come back and speak about what I was going to do additionally, but, you know, in the last meeting, DEI was brought up, and this woman talked about firefighters, and we're talking about veterans and PTSD, and then I was thinking about how, you know, that what it actually means and the misconception of it to it is that DEI is an umbrella term. I was actually in the federal government when it was created. It means protecting veterans. And she was talking about PTSD, like firefighters, people with disabilities, minorities, people with sexual orientation, men and women, people like me. And it's really interesting, you know, hearing that. And that's why I walked out of the room, because I was like, people, you know, I have 2 invisible disabilities. One is epileptic and one is dyslexic. You know, but you don't want to take it. You don't feel different. You don't feel it. But you almost want to say, I have to because of ignorance. I'm not saying y'all are ignorant. I'm not, but society is. And I think one of the things that really kind of touched me, it was what Vice Chair said. She said, did I make it in this world because of DEI? The fact is some women feel that way because they feel like, what are all these protections that we're needing because someone else thinks that we're not good enough? you know? I would meet people, oh, wow, I would meet friends growing up, guys, when I was doing computers. Wow, you were so bubbly, I didn't think you were smart. You know, that happens. I have friends, like, I'm gonna use the vice chair. She probably got it because she was blonde. I have very good friends who were lawyers, who were blonde, that are brilliant. But the thing is that we get these protections not because we want it, because society is ignorant. Just like the PTSD veteran. Not all veterans who have PTSD doesn't mean they can't do a job. So when I hear these stories of people who are just wonderful and all this stuff, I just think sometimes we need to remember it's not because people want it. It's because they feel like, oh, I'm forced to take it. I was telling one of my supervisors the other day, I said, I don't need it. I don't feel different, but I have to take it because there's some person over there who thinks that I'm dumb, you know, because of my dyslexia.
Francisca, can you wrap up your thoughts?
Yes, I can. So my thoughts is that I just want to say that when you think about it, don't look down upon people or don't look at it as a way as it, and especially when you hear people talk about that, always look at it as it's not a bad thing. It's just a protection. People don't want it. They're forced to take it.
Thank you for coming down and sharing your comments. Jim Kaufman, you're I think, our last speaker.
Hey everybody, Jim Kaufman. I live in Magic Mike's District 2. I'll be very brief. I know everyone is champing at the bit to talk about Navy Point, so I just wanted to come up here and share a little gratitude and recognize how hard your jobs are. Thank you all for doing a job for which I am wholly unqualified and for listening to people say things that I don't want to hear.
Thank you, Jim. All right, board, that concludes public forum. We'll reconvene at 5:30 for the regular meeting. Thank you all. Okay, so these two can get Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seat. We'll start here in just a minute. Hey, Jane.
I need one more to show up, then I'll get started. Okay, let me see what we got.
Okay. Wait a minute, I got the wrong agenda up here. 30. Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Board of County Commissioners' regular meeting, November 6, 2025, 5:30 p.m. The Board of County Commissioners allows any person to speak regarding an item on the agenda. The speaker is limited to 3 minutes unless otherwise determined by the chairperson to allow sufficient time for all speakers. Speakers shall refrain from abusive or profane remarks, disruptive outbursts, protests, or other conduct which interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting. Upon completion of the public comment period, discussion is limited to the board members and questions raised by the board. Commissioner Berry, do you have the invocation?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Pastor Josh Helton from Highland Baptist. Yes, sir. Thank you for being here. Please, the podium is yours.
Please rise.
Let us pray. Father, we thank you for today. Thank you for this opportunity to come and meet. Lord, we pray for our county commissioners and for this time of meeting tonight. God, we ask that you would grant them wisdom, integrity, and compassion as they serve our community. Lord, I pray that you would guide them in all their decisions as they strive to work for the common good of each and every citizen that they represent. Lord, pray that you just give them wisdom and discernment as they talk about the issues tonight. Lord, I pray for good conversations, for calm demeanors. Lord, and we just pray that you would protect all those here and give us a good meeting tonight. Lord, we pray for them and their families, and we thank you for their service that they do. Be with us as we are here. In your holy name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor. Appreciate you making the trip down.
Okay. Commissioner Berry, anything you want to add to the agenda?
No, sir. Thank you.
Commissioner May?
No, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, how about Commissioner Stroberger?
No, thank you.
Commissioner Hoffberger?
Yes, sir. I would like to add an agenda item for the public explanation on the delayed pay for the 200 firefighters and why it's set in budget for 13 days, waiting for someone to click approval.
Is this going to be at the end as a discussion item?
Yes,
Do
sir.
you recommend, Wes? We'll do it at the end as a discussion item? Okay.
Well, we don't need to add it to the agenda if it's just a discussion item. Or we just discuss it.
Well, that's what you're
It's not
asking.
an action item.
Is it an action item or a
It is
discussion?
not, no, I just want a public explanation, that's all.
Okay,
Yeah,
Wes,
I
are you
mean,
prepared
you
to
can do that
discuss
in your, in your opening words.
Go ahead, Commissioner Hoff.
A public explanation on the delayed pay for the 200 firefighters and why it's set in budgeting for 13 days.
Okay, we'll add it to the end? Is that?
Well, I mean, she can do whenever she wants. I mean, we don't have to add it as an, it's not an action item. We don't have to add it to the agenda. She can do it through comments, report, anytime she
Yeah.
gets ready.
Okay. However you want to do it. You know, for me, we could just do it when we do that, or if you want to do it at your forum, that's
We'll do
fine,
it at
too.
the end. Sounds
Okay.
great. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. All right, please vote. All right, motion passes 5-0. We're at Commissioners Forum. Commissioner Berry?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To highlight something going on right now, it's the SEC soccer tournament is going on at Brosenham. There's a game going on right now. The Another game is going to begin approximately at 6:30, Georgia and Vanderbilt, and it's been another great week. It appears as if I will, although we do live close enough to Brosnham that I will hear quite a bit of the ball game from about 150 yards away. But Georgia and Vanderbilt play this evening. Hopefully, everyone will have a chance maybe get out for one game before the finals this Sunday. It's a great event. It's something 6 or 7 years ago I could have never envisioned Escambia County hosting an SEC tournament. It's at about the same time we were working on the Sun Belt tournament at the Bay Center, and now to have some track record, some tenure, and some verified successes with both of those big major conference tournaments. I think it's a huge feather in Escambia County's cap, as well as speaks volumes to our citizens supporting sports tourism, and that's something that I know our board is focused on, and it has shown return on investment. So it's something I think to be very happy about.
Excuse me, Commissioner May.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to congratulate all of our local high school football teams, and do want to publicly thank everybody that supported Escambia High School, which is your district, in trying to get the $1 million makeover for their football field. Coach Bennett and many other young people that I know worked extremely hard and very competitive, and they were able to put Pensacola on the map, having Emmett Smith and Trent Richardson and Roy Jones all come and to do public support was great. And so, again, to UWF, who probably will be a Division I school. Go Argos, they are representing, most people don't know the quality of students that we have at UWF on the football team, but as well as quality athletes who are doing very well in representing Pensacola. Also want to recognize this weekend through the Chappie James Foundation and the Black Aviators. There are over 80 African-American aviators that are in town who are pilots at FedEx, UPS, Delta, American, United, who are here. They'll be at Bellevue Middle School tomorrow mentoring young people. I know that Children Trust and the Flight Academy, and what we've invested in teaching young children from underserved areas the opportunity to do aviation and to become pilots. What a great deal this weekend. Last year, we had the first African American to go to the moon. Victor was here. This year, we have multiple admirals and retired military personnel. Commissioner Cole, they'll all be downtown this evening, bringing in tax dollars and tourism dollars to Pensacola. But we do want to welcome the Black Aviators to Pensacola for this weekend, for Black Aviators Weekend. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner May. Commissioner Strohberger?
The Marine Corps birthday is on Monday, and Veterans Day is on Tuesday. Happy birthday to the Marines. There's a Marine Corps birthday is at the Yacht Club. The Yacht Club Marines celebrating its 250 years for the Marine Corps, just like it is for the Army and the Navy now. So hoorah to the Marines. Commissioner Kohler and I attended the Installation Innovation Forum last week, and he mentioned it today, and I wanted to mention it now, earlier today. Former CIA Director and Defense Secretary Leon Panetta was a guest speaker, and he shared a story. The story went like this. A priest and a rabbi got together, and they thought they would try to get to know each other better. They went to a boxing match, and when the bell rang, one fighter made the sign of the cross. The rabbi turned to the priest and said, "What does that mean?" The priest said, "It doesn't mean a damn thing if you can't fight." The secretary went on to say, "Do not rest comfortably. BRAC will be back on the table." BRAC is base realignment and closure. So the message was, that was the message. The point was that the community needs to be able to fight, and the fight has already started. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Strohberger. Commissioner Hopperger?
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for being here or for tuning in. There are so many things that you could be doing, but you're advocating for your community and things that matter most to you, like parks, public safety, and responsible spending of your taxpayers. I share those, or your taxpayer dollars. I share those priorities, and I'm happy to sit here tonight representing 1/5 of our community. So thank you for your time, and thank you for your engagement. If you follow us on social media, you know it has been a very productive week. On Tuesday, the purchasing department held an informative meeting at the Ferry Pass Community Center with record attendance on how to do business with Escambia County. Thank you to Lindsay and your entire team in purchasing for putting on such a great event. Last night, my aide and I, Melanie Luna, attended the Pensacola Beach Advocates meeting, where over 60 of the beach residents came to learn more about the structure of their government on the beach, how it relates to SRIA, the Board of County Commissioners, and their priorities. Tonight, we get to celebrate the November Employee of the Month, someone I believe has went above and beyond to provide accountability in our community and is passionate about his job. I know the residents in District 4 are grateful for your leadership and your tenacity. Also on social media is the requested removal of the firefighter company patches. These patches often represent the stations, the neighborhoods they serve, and the history of the departments, and in many cases, the fallen brothers who have died in the line of duty. For example, Station 17's patch has the initials of Lieutenant Terrell Jackson, who made the ultimate sacrifice in the line of duty. Removing these patches is removing a piece of the department and striking the very spirit that binds these firefighters together. I want to thank our county administrator because it seems after significant support from the community, this decision has been walked back. So thank you. Wes, on October 23rd at 2:13 p.m., 2 weeks before this meeting, I called and asked for an agenda item. Hire an independent third party to evaluate our government and recommend how to hit the rollback budget with minimal community impact. You confirmed this was discussed with staff, yet it never made it to the agenda. I alerted upset constituents because I knew they would want to know we were addressing it. Allison, you said no one should block a commissioner's item, so I'm just wondering why mine was omitted.
I didn't know about it, honestly.
No, I can answer that. Commissioner, as we spoke Wednesday morning, Steph and I have been working tirelessly with some initiatives within the budget office to bring some more information, some more data. And I believe what I communicated to you Wednesday morning was that we would like to come and speak with you a little bit further about that initiative. And I think we've expressed some concerns, but we also have collected some more data, some more information, and would like to present that to you before we brought that to the board, I believe is what I said Wednesday morning. And so that was the explanation Wednesday morning, that's the explanation tonight. And it'll be on the 17th agenda.
Okay, so who made the decision not to put my requested item on the agenda?
I'm sorry?
Who made the decision not to put my requested item on the agenda?
That would fall with me.
Okay, does that happen to other people on the board, or is that unique to me? Okay.
You can always bring it up. Well, I think we've, yeah, the chairman normally does, Ashley, or Commissioner Hopperger, but I didn't know about it. So, and I think this board has always entertained anyone that came up and asked for something, just like you did a little bit, and we said we'd discuss it. So I don't want to.
But, Mr. Chairman, I mean, at the end of the day, any commissioner has the ability to bring forth an item.
Yeah, we've always done that.
I mean, because at the beginning of a meeting, you say, are there any items to be added to the agenda? You have the ability to add it. As long as there's a second and a majority vote, it has to be added regardless of administration or the county administrator.
But that's not normal protocol, right? Like when we request something to go on an agenda, it should.
I mean, it's a lot of things I want to add to the agenda that doesn't get on there that I would bring it in past years. Yeah, I mean, you have the ability to put it on.
And yes, because you brought the Baptist up, and then we were told that it had to have 24 or 48 hours before it could go on.
Well,
the
that's
agenda.
where I was going to follow up. We had complaints from constituents that we were adding stuff before they could even review
I
it.
got things that I would have put on the agenda today that's not on there tonight.
Yeah,
because
I
was
think
told
there
I couldn't
should be
put
at
them on
least
there.
a 48-hour notice for the public to see what's on the agenda before we just add it. But I don't think any commissioner should not be able to add anything on the agenda. So.
But it doesn't even matter what your opinion is. It matters what the ordinance and the statutes present. And so anybody can add anything. It doesn't matter. If you think it should be 48, that's a good thought. I mean, but that's not what, Madam Attorney, that's not what the ordinance says. That's not what the statute says. You can add what you want to add to the agenda. If we want to change the ordinances or the rules, change them. Bring that to a meeting, have a public hearing, and change them. But we can bring anything that we want at any time that we get ready. Now, it may be, politically correct to say 48 hours, Mr. Chairman. We don't have to.
Yeah, I just thought 2 weeks was more than enough notice.
I mean, questions.
Well, I believe-
But I respect the protocol of not adding things at the last minute to give citizens an opportunity to review it. I mean, I certainly support what you're saying, Mike, so.
Y'all gonna make this last meeting fun. All right, Commissioner Berry.
Well, this your last meeting?
Yeah.
No wonder the agenda review, no wonder we've been going so long.
Commissioner Berry, you have a comment?
Yeah, so Commissioner Hoffberger, I mean, there's a, you know, we only have 2 employees, and neither one of them work for any of us individually. They work for the board as a whole. So the fact that you gave direction that wasn't acted on by one of those 2 employees might imply that your colleagues didn't agree with that assessment, or by one of our 2 employees' interpretations, your colleagues wouldn't agree with that assessment. You know, I wouldn't expect either one of the only 2 employees that we have to take my comments as direction. If I can't garner the support of my board, my opinion is irrelevant. I can argue up here. I can advocate for my case. I've, you know, been fortunate for some number of years to, you know, maybe be successful at that. At a different point in time, I was perhaps less successful advocating for that. But the fact that your private conversation wasn't immediately acted on by one of those 2 employees that work for the majority of us, I don't know how that warrants a public admonition like this.
Well, because Allison told me that no one should block a commissioner's item for going on the agenda, I felt like it was important to have a discussion. It's fine if we want to vote no or there's no support, but I don't know how I can garner support
Well,
from the rest of you if we can't have those discussions.
Sometimes there may not even be support for your discussion,
Then
much
I want
less
to make
the
that
action.
public. That's fine. If you guys don't want to do the rollback rate and we don't want to look at options and be more efficient, that's fine. My constituents want that, and I'm continuously asked why we're not doing that. So that's why I put it on the, or requested it go on the agenda.
Okay.
Well, that was healthy discussion. I appreciate that.
I don't know if it was healthy,
I
but
personally
it
can't
was
vote for that.
discussion.
One at a
It certainly
time,
wasn't
one at a
healthy.
time.
But,
Commissioner May, and then you.
No, I mean, no, we're done. I mean, it was not healthy. If you're saying, as Stephen said, we have 2 employees. We have an administrator and we have an attorney. If there's conflicting things in what she's saying that an administrator told her versus what the attorney said to her, then that's conflicting information, because there's a lot of things that get passed on this board that my constituents don't like. You know, I mean, you know, but we listen to it, you know, so we can have that. I mean, I'm happy to have the conversation about rollback rates. I'm happy to have that conversation about why we increase our MSBU and then we want to have a rollback rate, and how we didn't increase CRA funding. I mean, so if we, but the budget's over. And so, quite frankly, I was not completely happy with the way it all went. But there's nothing that I can do about it. It's been voted on. But if you ever want to have the conversation, I'm happy to have that conversation.
Well, it will be on the agenda for our 17th meeting.
And I'm fine with that too, Commissioner Hoffberger, but we normally do that during the budgeting process, but I'm fine to listen to what you want to share with us.
Well, if we want to hire someone to come in and look at things, that's going to take time to study. I mean, even an infrastructure project takes a year to study. So we need to be looking at those decisions now.
Okay, well, I'll look forward to seeing what Wes brings forward at the next meeting. Commissioner Stroberger, you had your light on?
No, I was just going to say, I look forward to having that discussion too.
Okay. Thank you.
So, Commissioner Hallberg, here's what I would recommend. If we're talking about bringing in consultants and someone to do something, why don't we put it on the committee of the whole at some point in the future? You'll be the chairperson, and have that conversation where we can all have input on the direction. Because quite frankly, I've said we need a strategic plan. We need to understand our mission. We need to understand the direction in which we're going. And now that we have a lot of new board members, that would be a great conversation. I would not be supportive of putting something at the last minute or in 2 weeks as an action item to vote upon without discussion, because we need public hearing, we need citizens' input. You represent a portion of the constituency, and so do each of us. And so we all should talk to our constituency, because it's not my ideology or my opinion, it's those who I represent's opinion that I should be up here voting on. And so we can have the discussion, take it back to the citizens that we represent, and then we bring it back, in my opinion, to have the type of vote that we want to have.
Yeah, we'll definitely have that discussion. And I don't want to waste a committee meeting of the whole if we don't want to adopt the rollback rate. So if we want to adopt that, then we can start planning. But the first question is that a goal of this board?
Well, I mean, no one knows whether we want to have a rollback rate or what we want to have until we have the vote. But the budget has been set. So, I mean, me personally, I've said cut 20% across the board for the last 5 years, and I'm the liberal Democrat. So, bring it. Bring the 20% that we want to cut, and you're going to find my support. So let's figure out how we cut the 20%.
Wonderful, thank you.
I'm just going to wait till we have the discussion, see what the state legislature does. I think we got a lot of moving parts.
We ain't got to cut 20%. I mean, those going to cut it
there's a lot
forward.
going on,
Don't worry
but
about it.
It'll be a good
Yeah.
discussion.
I got my homestead property tax, cut it.
Yeah. All right, folks, I just want to say a few things. We have Francisca, you said something the other day, and we do have a very diverse community. On the 25th, Commissioner Strohberger and myself and the clerk and the sheriff, they had the Diwali dinner. And I never ate so much goat in my life, actually, the only time I ate goat. But it was a very nice night, and it was very positive. And then the next night, I went to something that was positive but was kind of sad. It was, Commissioner May, you probably know about this, but the Leah Gibson Remembrance. And, there were, they recognized me there and some other officials or people, activists in the community like Ellison Bennett and Marcel and some other folks. But there were 7 women there that night, and, they'd all lost their child. And some of it was related to car accidents, violence. Trayvon Martin's mom was there. And it was very moving, and it was at Sanders Beach, and I was just glad they invited me to be there. And this is a great organization. They do a lot of good things, not just for veterans. They're going to do some stuff for around 800 people for Thanksgiving dinner. And it was just, I really felt sad for those ladies that they'd lost their children so early, and very moving night. I'll just highlight.
Mike, can I just add something about the Lil Gibson Foundation? Can I say something about the Lil Gibson Foundation? Since you were there, I was not there because I was breaking up fights at Little League football. But they have applied for multiple funding, multiple times through county and through Children's Trust, and they're yet to get funded. And without question, they serve a public good and a public purpose. And they don't get funded. I'm glad you went there to support them, but it's unfortunate that they never get funded.
Yeah, I would like to donate something to them for Thanksgiving, but we'll see. We're trying, actually, though, just so you know that, Commissioner May, I'm putting something on the 17th. I want to follow up on what Commissioner Strohberger said on the Association of Defense Communities. We have a group in Santa Rosa and Escambia called the Northwest Florida Defense Coalition. We met today. It's probably the most important board I'm on in Escambia County. I went through 2 BRACs, a CONUS study that basically dismantled the Navy hospital. I talk about this a lot. Leon Panetta was a congressman in the Monterey area when I was a warrant officer in the Bay Area, and I told this story today. Ron Dellums was the chairman of the Armed Services Committee at the time. Wade, Keith, you may remember this, you were out in Oakland. But Bill Clinton was the president. And he came to the auditorium at the Naval Hospital, and at that time, he said, there's nothing to worry about. There's nothing to worry about. We're not going to close the hospital. We're not closing Presidio. We're not closing Alameda. We're not closing Fort Ord. We're not closing Treasure Island. Well, then BRAC happened. Everything closed. And no one could do anything. And millions of dollars left. And so we have to have an offensive posture here, because it's not just about the base. It's about our colleges that get GI and TA. It's about our healthcare system that get TRICARE dollars that are in the millions. It's about our funeral homes that get VA benefits when they die. It's 47% of our economy. And I know I'm going to beat it every day up here, and I'm going to work on that. That was one of the biggest things I ran on. But we do have a coalition now that's working really hard, and I just want to give them credit for doing that. All right, the other day, I go to this every year on November 5th at Escambia High, and they had the memorial service for Veterans Day. And if you didn't know this, they basically have a guest speaker. It was the CEO of Nauru, but they sound off every single high school student that has died since 1966 from Escambia High. It's very moving. And they've had 34 students that graduated from Escambia High that have died over the years in combat. And the last 3 were in 2022. And I just want to say I really appreciate Escambia High doing that. There were several school board members, superintendent of education was there. It was very nice, and I really applaud the principal for putting that on. Okay, so Saturday, Semper Fi, 5K's going on. The only reason I mention this, Tim McGurry, which is one of our heroes in this community, he was at Beirut the day of the bombing. He lives in Lake Charlene, and that run basically goes to support a lot of different things in the community, but was initiated after the Beirut bombing and has been going on since then in support. And it's another great thing the Marines do in our community to support that tragedy. And then on Veterans Day, we got two things. The Gulf Coast Veterans Association will have a parade, and then down at Veterans Memorial Park at 11, they'll have a service and memorial. And then I'm not sure, Commissioner Hopperger, if you'll be there, but the Pensacola Beach will have the parade out at the beach at 2. So if you have something to do on the 11th, please come out. There'll be a lot going on. And this will probably be the first year we're not sweating to death. It looks like we're going to need jackets, so that'll be nice. All right, that's all I have.
Mr. Chairman? Yes. And I'm sorry I missed it. I want to recognize David Hero, if this is his last meeting with. Is
this his last one?
It's not his last meeting?
This was not his last meeting, no.
Okay, all right, okay. And I will still say this, David Hero is, we have a lot of great employees. There's not a more dedicated and a more sincere and caring employee than David Hero, and we'll say more whenever his last meeting, but he is a great public servant and has done so much for this community, and so hopefully I'll get the opportunity to say that whenever his last meeting. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I could?
Yeah, go ahead.
Talking about some other good employees. This week we did an audit call with CDBG. We get grants, $160, $180 million worth of grants. Getting the grants one thing, supporting the grants another thing. So we go through audit. So we had our latest audit call, and it was, according to them, it's one of the best calls they've had. They said it was a breath of fresh air. And so I'd like to thank Lindsay Stevens there and her team there in purchasing. And I'd like to thank Liz Kissel for managing that and helping us out there. As mentioned, we all know there's the SEC soccer tournament going on. We had 4,600 fans in the first 2 days. We'll probably achieve that again in the upcoming days with some additional games. But we had a bus. We had a team bus breakdown the other night after the game, and it was a drive belt. The driver just happened to have a drive belt, but had no way to put it on. And so we had 4 employees at Parks that were able to lend their assistance and get the new drive belt on, get them back en route to their hotel at Pensacola Beach. And I just want to say thank you to the Parks employees for reaching out, going above and beyond there. And then Jamie Higdon and Road Department was highlighted in North Escambia for some work they've been doing. They've done some drainage work on Max Road, Pine Forest Road, State Line Road, Meadows Road, and Pineville Road. They've done shoulder work on West Highway 4, bridge approaches on Rockaway Creek and Arthur Brown Road. They've completed milling of Jakes Road, and they're working on Jones Road and a few other projects there on Highway 4. Public Works, Road Department, always doing a fantastic job. I was contacted last Friday. I believe Commissioner Kohler, you texted, and Greg Harris with the Ice Flyers got with me, and to coordinate some transportation to the hockey game for some of the folks that have been evacuated from Guantanamo. Yep. And so Thaddeus and ECAT were able to do that. So we transported about 250 folks from the base to the game, and from the game back to the base. It was a great experience for them. So I appreciate ECAT and their folks doing what they do. Earlier this week, we did a ribbon cutting there on Louisville Avenue with Waterfront as part of their Life Builder Recovery Program. And this was a result of your opioid abatement funding committee. There's something that it's a committee that we set up. It's through proceeds from lawsuits from the big pharmaceutical companies, and Waterfront had put in for a grant. And a lot goes into this. It goes into it quietly and doesn't get a lot of notoriety. But Liz Kissel works with that group, and Philip works with that group. But Waterfront was awarded a grant for $338,000. With that grant, they bought 2 houses in conjunction with each other on the same piece of property, rehabbed them, and they're going to start doing some housing, long-term housing, short-term housing, there for some men in the recovery program. And stabilized housing is very important when it comes to that. and then Project Reconnect that Liz oversees and coordinates. We've reached over 300 people that we've helped get back home to their families or get back to a support system that we pay for either a bus ticket or a plane ticket. They have to have a support system on the other end, and we have successfully done that, and it'll continue to be, those numbers will continue to grow and will continue to be successful. Thank you.
Thank you, Wes. Yeah, and thanks Greg and ECAT. That was really nice for them to do that for the folks out on the base from the hurricane. All right, board, can I get a motion to pass? Okay, is there a second? And proclamations, please vote. Motion passes 5-0. Chips, you're up first.
Thank you, Commissioners. If I could have Brent Whip come forward, please. Hey, Brent. How you doing? Commissioners, I've had the pleasure of working with Brent Whip, who's the Employee of the Month for November 2025, for over 25 years. And in that time, I've come to know Brent not only as a very knowledgeable and skilled marine biologist, but also as a very caring person who cares a lot about Escambia County, the citizens of the county, a very honest and trustworthy person. Over the last 25 years, Brent has managed over 100, well over 100 water quality improvement projects, environmental restoration projects, habitat restoration projects in all of your districts. You know, whether it's 11 Mile Creek, Carpenter's Creek, Bayou Tahar, Bayou Chico, Bayou Grande, Perdido Bay, Pensacola Bay, 10 Mile Creek, just virtually every water body in Escambia County, Brent has had a positive impact on those water bodies. So with that, I'd like to read this proclamation. Whereas Escambia County has established an Employee of the Month program to recognize one employee to represent various departments, and whereas Brent Whip, Water Quality and Land Management Division Manager, began his employment with the county in October of 2001 and is selected as Employee of the Month for November 2025 for the standards of excellence that he displays in the performance of his duties. And whereas in his role as Water Quality and Land Management Division Manager, Brent develops and exceeds operational performance standards for management and use of county's natural resources. And whereas his subject matter expertise and proactive problem solving have aided him in collaborating with the Emerald Coast Utilities Authority to recently resolve and manage multiple sewage spills along Scenic Highway. And whereas Brent's exceptional communication skills, reliable competence, and his professional positive attitude make him an exemplary colleague to work with in his department and with external agencies. Now therefore, be it proclaimed that the Board of County Commissioners of Escambia County hereby commends and congratulates Mr. Brent Whip in his selection as Employee of the Month for November 2025, Michael S. Kohler, Chair, District 2, Ashley Hoffberger, Vice Chair, District 4, Steve Stroberger, District 1, Lumen J. May, District 3, and Stephen Berry, District 5. Thank you, Brent. Did you want to say a few words?
Can you hold that for me just for a second? Yes, thank you so much. Commissioners, it certainly was a surprise to find out my nomination and receiving the award for the Employee of the Month. Much of what I do that Chip's mentioned, I work across divisions, I work across departments, I work with a lot of the people who have already been mentioned tonight that do good work. I work with them on a daily basis. I get to see the work that they do as well. I know firsthand that Escambia County is full of talented, hardworking, dedicated employees. I've got to see it. And to be recognized for this award among so many deserving fellow employees is such an honor. I'm very grateful. Thank you so much. Oh, yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Is your family?
My wife is actually traveling. She's watching. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Good job, Brent. Chief Powell and Kenneth Kyles, can you come up to the podium? All right, thank you, guys. Mr. Nash, I guess you're doing it tonight? Okay, that's fine.
Good evening. They say I'm the best at doing this. I think that's just a ploy to get me to do it all the time. Here to honor Lieutenant Kyles, I'm going to read his proclamation. I'm honored to do that. Whereas Kenneth O. Kyles worked honorably as a county employee for 26 years, retiring as a lieutenant with the Corrections Department Jail Division. And whereas Lieutenant Kyles began his employment with Escambia County in March 1999 and was an invaluable member of the corrections team and a true asset to the agency. And whereas he received numerous commendations for his exemplary performance and his professional and personal dedication and service to the Corrections Department. And whereas Lieutenant Kyles displayed an unwavering commitment to the individuals under his command, ensuring that his team had the guidance, support, and resources necessary to succeed. And whereas Lieutenant Kyles has been a friend, a mentor, and brother to us all and will deeply be missed by his friends and colleagues. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Board of County Commissioners, on behalf of the citizens of Escambia County and fellow employees, commends and congratulate Kenneth O. Kyles on his retirement. Be it further proclaimed that the Board of County Commissioners of Escambia County express its appreciation to Lieutenant Kenneth O. Kyles for 26 years of faithful and dedicated service as a county employee. Board of County Commissioners of Escambia County, Florida, Michael S. Kohler, Chair, District 2, Ashley Hoffberger, Vice Chair, District 4, Steve Stroberger, District 1, Lumen J. May, District 3, Stephen Berry, District 5.
You want your family and friends to come up? Come on up.
Yeah, he does want to speak.
Mr. Chairman, while Kenny's getting his family, let me just say this. Kenny, long before I was elected, you were making a difference in the community. You were always a point of contact that we could go to, and how you represent this organization, Corrections, to young people as a mentor. Your influence in our community is untouched. I personally want to publicly thank you for being a role model for other young people, to encourage them to go into corrections. You've done a great job. I hope you retire and come back, because your presence is needed somewhere in this community for the work you do. So thank you so much, Kenny.
Thank you, sir.
Did you want to say anything, sir?
Yes, sir. And thank y'all for the opportunity to serve the citizens of our county. My wife, her sacrifices, and my children, dealing with what we had to go through. Retired Lieutenant Riles, one of the best leaders I ever seen. We survived that jail explosion together. He taught me so much about the gray area. Retired Commander Hemphill, sitting in the back, supported me every step of the way, and I appreciate her. Commander Nash, Sergeant Thames, Officer Martin, Sergeant Mills, all of those people, they're here supporting me tonight like they supported me over the years. And it was an honor and a pleasure to have y'all by my side, lead you and guide you, and have y'all to support me. I appreciate you all. Thank you.
I'd appreciate the opportunity to say a few things. I know we missed 4 speakers, that's 12 minutes. I only need 3/4 of that. For those of you that don't know, well, first of all, good evening, everyone. I thank God we could all make it in here today, and I pray to God that we can all make it out of here. Amen. My name is Joe Riles, retired lieutenant of 29 years of service at our county jails. My words today will not be as professionally presented as those of our Honorable Captain Hankins. However, it'd be a dishonor for me not to make some attempt to express to you a picture of what an outstanding officer Lieutenant Kyles is to this department and to me. I was still a green corporal at the main jail booking section when he, Kenneth Kyles, quote, showed up on what I considered to be my scene, which was A-Shift ACR where Barbara works as Shift Sergeant Lieutenant Dottie McBride, a.k.a. Way, as the head of admissions, commits, and releases. That's just to create a timeline, as I do not remember the year. I just remember the kid that, quote, showed up, not knowing that he was already a man and soon to be a man that would show up in my life to no end, even to this day. And he continues to impress me with his relentless progression to be a better, stronger man. He was a security monitor at that point in the beginning and soared through the ranks to achieve lieutenant well ahead of his retirement. When I say soared, I don't mean a light, fluffy flight. I mean it was a full-on dogfight from every direction, and I wish I were exaggerating, but I'm not. I personally witnessed, from my angle of view, many obstacles which would have crushed most individuals, but this was a soldier we were engaged with, a soldier in every sense of the word, which I don't even fully know as I was never in the military. Frequently, people misperceive Kyles as smug or arrogant, but let me explain what that is that they are really looking at. I call it blunt confidence. Please allow me to expand on that a little bit and give you a soft version. In other words, you can see a hill and have confidence you can climb it, and that would be confidence with inaction. But if you see that hill and climb it with confidence, that is confidence in action. And the more hills and bigger hills you climb, that confidence builds into fearlessness. So Kyle sees the obstacles in front of him, but he sees right through it. I like that. We both continued our careers crossing paths and working together, working with one another, working for one another, but never ever against one another. I will always be honored and never hesitate to stand with, beside, behind this man, but I would not want to be in opposition, as I know the strength and determination I would be facing, especially if I were to be wrong. I do not have the words to truly describe what this man has proven to be as a brother and a leader on and off the job. One of the many highlights of him, that guy right there with what may appear to be a smug look on his face, quote, showing up was when I needed him most, which was on April 30th, 2014, when the Central Booking and Detention Center on Leonard Street exploded from a gas leak, killing 2 people, and put a fellow officer, Chris Hankinson, in a wheelchair for the rest of his life, and injuring everyone there to some degree. Detention Officer Kyles, his title of position at that time, had already put in a full 12-hour workday and was off duty at home when he heard about our dire situation. Many would have been relieved and glad they were not on duty and would have cringed, hoping not to be called in. And I don't blame them a bit. And I myself would have probably felt the same way had I been in that position, but not Kyles. He instead suited back up and responded to the call of duty without having to be called in, but was needed more than anyone knew. Not only did he respond, but he stepped up in the face of uncertainty and most possibly death to receive orders to do whatever had to be done. I was a hands-on lieutenant officer in charge that dreadful night, and I had to send many brave officers and other first responders into harm's way. But it was Kyles that I finally relinquished my keys to, the key to any door in the building. It was unknown if there was even a door to put a key in, and if there was still a door, would it open with a mere key? And if it did, would there be a floor on the other side? Would you be able to make it, let alone make it back out? When given the instructions, not orders, mind you, even though he was there to take orders, the instructions were to enter and guide firefighters through this demolished, blood-saturated building to possibly do a final rescue and clearance of this death trap. And he did this without readily available personal protection equipment. His final instructions from me before going on this mission was an order, quote, "You must come back alive." And he did. But it is still, to this day, unknown the full extent of damage and the price paid for that mission. I'll be forever grateful to him and many others that bravely faced the dangers and trauma of that fateful night. I passed the torch that night, and Kyles went on to carry it brighter and mightier for many more years, and he has lit a fire in many a man since then. Out of all the things I may say or not say about Kenneth Kyles today, this is the most important thing I will say. He has been and is still a good daddy to his 2 boys and family. Congratulations on your success, and thank you for your brave service to our community, and may God continue to bless you throughout your well-deserved retirement. Thank you. Yeah, good job. Thank you all for the opportunity. Thank you, Captain.
Job well done. Michelle Lamar Acuff, if you could join me at the podium, please. No, that's good. No, that's okay. This is very important too. So it's National Epilepsy Awareness Month, and Michelle's the leader of that in our Escambia County, and we want to recognize the folks that have this disease and encourage them. So I'll go ahead and read this proclamation for you. Whereas November is recognized as the National Epilepsy Awareness Month, celebrating the unflattering strength and courage of epilepsy patients alongside their families, friends, and caregivers. And whereas 1 in 10 people will have a seizure and 1 in 26 will develop epilepsy during their lifetime, affecting more individuals than autism, Parkinson's disease, multiple sclerosis, and cerebral palsy combined. Although 3.4 million people, 470,000 of them children and their families, are impacted by epilepsy in the United States, there's still a lot of work to be done to combat the misconceptions and stigma around this disorder and to shed light on the multiple challenges that people with epilepsy face in their daily lives. Whereas in 2008, the ADA Amended Act was signed to clarify the definition of disability to include episodic conditions like epilepsy, and until 2010, people with epilepsy could be denied coverage for pre-existing conditions, resulting in medical insurance refused to nearly 36% of them. What a shame. And whereas organizations such as Epilepsy Alliance Florida drives advocacy campaigns to spread awareness and improve outcomes for people with epilepsy and provide programs and service to help affected individuals navigate life with epilepsy while providing comprehensive prevention and education services, case management, and medical and psychological services. Whereas Epilepsy Awareness Month and other local and international initiatives have a significant impact on public knowledge and perception on epilepsy and seizures, as well as improve the care, advocacy, and research on epilepsy, seizures, and side effects. Now therefore be it proclaimed, the Board of County Commissioners hereby declares November 2025 as National Epilepsy Awareness Month in Escambia County, Florida, and encourages residents to spread awareness about the struggles faced by people with epilepsy, combat misinformation about the disorder, and together help improve the quality of life for those affected and their families. Board of County Commissioners, Escambia County, Florida, Michael Kohler, Chairman, District 2, Ashley Hoffberger, Vice Chair, District 4, Steve Stroberger, District 1, Lumen May, District 3, Stephen Berry, District 5. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Do you want to say something? You sure? You sure? Yeah. I know, I was thinking of you. I didn't know if you guys, do you know Francisca? Oh. We did this for you. Yeah. She said that earlier, so.
1 in 26 people will have it eventually at one point in their life, but thank you so much to the commission for recognizing epilepsy awareness.
Thanks, to get a photo. Oh, yeah, okay. Can I get a comb? No.
Sorry. Thank you.
Good
Thank
job.
you so much.
Good to see you. All right, okay. Did the clerk's office receive the proof of publication for the public hearing on the agenda and the board weekly's meeting schedule?
Mr. Chairman, the clerk's office has received all proofs.
Move to waive the reading.
Okay, please vote. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. We're now at public hearing 5.31. We have one speaker. This is to consider the petition to vacate unopened right-of-way known as West Hernandez Street, Oakwood Avenue, West Lakewood Avenue, and 20-foot alleyway within Oak Crest subdivision. This is in your district, Commissioner May. Tom Hammond, are you here? If you'd like to come up and tell us your thoughts.
I think Tom's going to be happy with the motion, but I mean, if he talks, I don't know. Stacey, we don't have
Tom
any
Hammond,
issues,
and I'm in support of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I move the item, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, is there a second? All right, please vote. All right, motion passes 5-0 for 531. 532, there's no speakers. This is a public hearing to consider petition to vacate unapproved right-of-way on Sunset Avenue.
Move the item, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, please vote. Okay, motion passes, I think, 5-0. We're at 533. We have two speakers on this. This is in my district. It's, I'm very familiar with this. Jane, you want to come up first? Did you just want to wave in support? Is that what you as well, Vicki?
If you support it, I'll move the item, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
I'll move
Talk to the
I'll
league
move the
on that.
item for.
Okay, please vote.
Jane promised not to call me.
Motion passes 5-0. We are, there's no speakers for 535. Public hearing to adopt the
So
uniform.
move.
Second.
Okay, please vote. Motion passes 5-0. 536, we have several speakers. This has got to do with the Navy Point ordinance. We'll start with Walter Arrington.
How many speakers, Mr. Chairman?
11 or 12.
Mr. Chairman, is this something that you support?
I absolutely support.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
If they
I think
waive
you'll
in
find-
support, I mean, I can vote for it.
I only have one recommendation that came through Jessica Scholl I wanted to bring up with you. It was a slight word change, and I talked to our county attorney today. She thought that the language should say, instead of including without limitation, which I do agree that would be a little bit stronger. I don't think anyone in Navy Point would have an issue with that word. Yeah, the language,
I think Jessica's here if she needs to explain it.
Is Jessica in the audience?
She's here.
Yeah, come on up and share your comments, and we'll, you know.
Who's she billing? Is she billing Navy Point or us? She's an attorney.
No, she's for it.
It's billing
For
Florida
the
West.
one word, the one word.
It's billing Florida West.
Allison's telling me don't have to do it.
Pro bono, baby.
Allison, you told me we wouldn't have to redo the notification. That's correct, right?
No, based on my understanding of what Ms. Scholl has requested, it's not a significant enough change to require.
Okay. Okay, Mel, I'll let you speak. I'm going to let her since I called her up, and if we don't do it, that's fine. I would rather move it forward tonight, but I don't think. Okay. Jessica, please, we called you up. Say your reason. I called you up because of this email.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. And I appreciate the county's long-standing maintenance of this park. This is a cherished public park, as I think everybody in this room can attest. It was dedicated in 1945 on the plat, and it's been well maintained by the county, and I personally appreciate that. I share the opinion held by many that the natural beauty of Navy Point cannot be improved upon. And so my only kind of requests or suggestions would be that there are 2 places where it says that no new structures of any kind could be built, including wharves, docks, or piers. I just requested that it said including without limitation. I know that doesn't seem like a big deal, but for somebody who's seen that litigated over and over, it's just nice to have that clarification that, you know, these are just examples. It's not exclusive. This means any structures. My other request was just that you guys consider that there are currently the Sunset Boat Launch, you know, there's a park, and there's sidewalks. So there are some currently existing structures. It may make sense to carve out an exception if we were to lose the boat launch to a storm, for example. Over time, that playground may need to be taken down and put back up in its current footprint, the sidewalks. So just exception to repair and replace as necessary the existing structures in their current footprints. So with that, I really appreciate it, and I appreciate Commissioner Kohler, who has shown strong support for this park. It's beloved by so many, and I just hope that it stays preserved for many, many years to come and generations to come, and I appreciate all the commissioners. Thank you.
What I'd like to do, thank you, Jessica, and for your comments. What we'll do is I'll go through the people who want to speak. If you want to wave, just wave in support. We'll start with Walter Arrington. You're waving in support. You don't want to speak, Walter? Okay. Jay Walden. Is Jay here? You're just waving in support, ma'am? Okay, thank you. Russell Gillis. Is Russell here? Is that you, sir? Yeah, I'll say something. Okay, come on up.
All right, I think I speak on the behalf of everybody in Navy Point here. We thank you to the board for letting us speak on this incident. I live at 130 Northwest Boblitz Drive. I moved to Navy Point since 2018, earlier that year. I currently have a family of 6, and that is growing. So we will have very deep roots in the area and plan not to leave. Navy Point Park is a very unique place, untouched and natural. Kohler himself has spoken about this. There's only, I believe, 3 waterfront parks in Escambia County, and Navy Point Park totals all 3 of them in a whole. I do vote yes, please, to consider protecting the park and change the verbiage to the best to protect us moving forward in the future. Thank you all for y'all's time. God bless.
Okay, thank you, sir. Leela Hobby. Is Leela Hobby, do I get that right? Come on up. You want to speak, ma'am? And then Ted Hawthorne, you're next.
Good evening, and thank you for your time here. I see a lot of my Navy Point neighbors here, and I teach nursing out at the University of West Florida. And one of our biggest concerns is public health and prevention. And this park really helps us with reduce the #1 cause of death in our county, heart disease. Obesity, 30% of our population is obese. And this park is protective and is in the spirit of the Healthy Achievement Escarosa project that I'm sure you're all familiar with, in improving the health and trying to provide opportunities for our population to get out and enjoy the outdoors. So thank you. I too support everybody's stand in preserving our park.
Thank you for coming in, your comments, ma'am. Ted, you're up, and then Chris, you're up after Ted.
Good evening, and thank you. My name is Ted Hawthorne. My wife, a Pensacola native, and I live at 3 Northwest Circle in Navy Point, Pensacola. The ordinance before you tonight is a result of Commissioner Kohler and for his leadership and the tireless and dedicated effort of Navy Point's Melissa Pino and Kevin Wade. I give my deepest thanks to all of you. Passing this ordinance tonight is about more than preserving parks enjoyed by hundreds, residents and visitors alike, every day. It's a declaration that long-term community value can outweigh potential short-term revenue. Your yes vote will affirm that protecting our limited natural resources, waterside trails, beaches, and community spaces is essential, not just for today's quality of life, but for shaping the future vision of the West Side. As you head west from downtown and descend the Bayou Chico Bridge, there's a sign that reads, "The West Side is the best side." It's a bold claim, but we proudly stand behind it. And while some may debate the veracity of our slogan, I challenge you to find anyone who's been to the Navy Point parks and doesn't agree that they are rare, vibrant, multifaceted gems that deserve to be protected and preserved. Therefore, I ask that each of you vote yes to preserve Navy Point parks. Thank you.
Thank you, Ted. I like that sign, too. I know the guy who put that up. Chris Kerb, come on up. Are you just waving in support? Okay, thank you. Francesca, you're up again.
Hi, I'm back. It is crucial that we safeguard Navy Point Park. What is the rationale behind voting yes for safeguarding Navy Point Park? Although this ordinance is solely, I'm going to talk about the Pensacola Beach, which is not solely part of it, but it is connected. My husband and I moved to Pensacola 3 years ago from Tampa, Florida. What surprised us about moving here was several things. Y'all have public parks. Y'all have public beaches. The air smells really clean on the beaches, and the water is crystal clear. When you walk on the beaches, it doesn't smell like red tide. We didn't find foul smell dead fishes on the key beaches like we did in Tampa. In Tampa, we would have red tide warnings, high, medium, and low. I was talking to my sister-in-law when I first moved here, and she's like, "Wow, y'all are going to the beach a lot. Aren't you scared of the bacteria, flesh-eating virus?" I said, "No, we don't have that here. It's in Tampa." And the thing is living in here is a paradise. And you notice I'm not talking about parks that are in Tampa because they're all gone. They plowed them all down, and I watched it happen living there. You know, my husband's from there, but I went to school there, you know, University of Tampa. And that is the most important thing when you protect Navy Point Park and our beaches. I'm from Dallas. I was born and raised in Dallas, Texas. I'm almost 50 years old. I'm sure some of y'all know JR and stuff like that. There was horse ranches when I grew up. I saw them get bulldozers because I used to go there. I know how to horseback ride. I know how to vault. I know how to do all those things. You know, my parents took me places. But all that happens because y'all, when you take control, the county takes control, then you make sure the beaches are clean, the parks are clean, and things like that. But Wall Street came in to Tampa, California, took over, and they don't care. But when the city and the community has oversight, they care, and that's why it's important.
Francisca,
That's why you should vote yes.
Thank you for your comments. Maria Scopus, is Maria there? You're waving in support? Okay, Michelle Carter? Is Michelle Carter there? You're just waving in support, ma'am, or do you want to speak? Okay, I love listening to my constituents. My job. Commissioner May loves it too.
I really love listening to your constituents. Makes a lot of sense.
Hey, y'all. I'm Michelle Carter. First of all, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to address you. I'm a homeowner and resident in Navy Point. And I thought a lot about what I would say in front of you. I use this park every single day. I took a run through it this morning. So it's a really important part of my life, and I feel a great responsibility to get to speak on behalf of it. And the thing that I came back to was the immense gratitude that I always feel when I get to use this park, that 80 years ago, our community bequeathed this park to the great American experiment, right? Anyone of any race, creed, ability, or circumstance can access the world, connect with nature, build community, meet their neighbors right there for free, regardless of resources. So I'm grateful to live in a county that doesn't just value these ideals, but prioritizes them in their deeds. I'm humbled to have the privilege to speak on behalf of this park. I thank you for your time, your service, and your affirmative vote to increase the protections on our little slice of America. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Rhonda Eubanks, are you just waving in support? Thank you, ma'am. Diane Crummell, would you like to speak, Diane?
Well, I'm glad Diane come since you said I really like listening. I hope you're as excited as Mel and Jessica as I am about the swimming lessons that we're going to do at Navy Point for the
bring it
kids
on,
of District
man.
3. So hopefully you support us
You're going to do
financially.
your first triathlon with me, Commissioner.
We're going to do it. I mean, we are going to teach kids to swim out there. We really are.
All right, Diane,
Yes.
you're up.
Okay, yes. I love all the positive energy that we're hearing here tonight. And I just wanted to say just a few words that as the leader and founder of the grassroots movement known as Save Pensacola Beach, we were responsible for stopping the privatization of much of Santa Rosa Island, better known as Pensacola Beach. I am and always will be about preserving and protecting every square inch of any public beach. I am here today to speak in support of passing the ordinance that will protect and preserve the publicly owned Navy Point Park and Beach, all 2.5 miles of shoreline, along with the park's beautiful winding trails. As a leader of Save Pensacola Beach team, I just want to extend my gratitude and thanks that we really appreciate and want to thank you again for passing an ordinance protecting and preserving Pensacola Beach that requires a unanimous vote of all commissioners to overturn it. And I'm glad to see that whoever drafted this ordinance also is requiring a unanimous vote of all commissioners to overturn it. I want to thank you, Commissioner Kohler, Commissioner May, Commissioner Hoffberger, for your support on this extremely important ordinance to protect and preserve the publicly owned Navy Point Park and beaches. I am hopeful that the other two commissioners will join in, and this will be a total success tonight. Again, thank you for listening to the people you represent, the people who voted you into office, and for ensuring that future generations will be able to enjoy this pristine, beautiful area just as God had intended it. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Norman Jetter, is Norman here? Okay, do you want to talk, sir? Yes. Okay, come on up. That's all right, we're here for you.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I don't live on Navy Point. I'm here to speak for someone that did live on Navy Point. My father married a lady back in the mid-'80s. Her name was Edra Keene of Keene Realty, a very well-respected businesswoman out there. And I know that if Edra were still alive, that she would not want to see anything happen to that park. Edra lived right across the street from the water, and she was very passionate about the waterfront, the view, everything about Navy Point. And I imagine she was, I don't know exactly when her and her husband, her first husband, moved there, but I'm sure it may have very well been in the 50s. But so I'm here to speak for her. This is important. This is important to people that can't be here and for their families. So thank you for you know, your support and everyone else's. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Mel, you're up. Mel Pino. And Kevin, you're on deck.
Thank you. I was waiting for the other shoe to drop, and it almost did, but like I told you today, I really wanted to be 100% positive, but I've got to respond to what my friend Jessie said. And it's not her suggestions that I'm taking any, anything against. They probably would have been really good suggestions if they had come in before the notification deadline. And I am so sorry to have to say this, but I've got to say this and be blunt. For a year, I begged you for the ordinance, and then you would go to the county attorney and she would tell you that it wasn't necessary. And the reason you finally became aware that it was necessary is because she told you that you could build a boathouse in the park, which was not your fault, and it was really poor legal advice. I have, and my husband have spent tens of thousands of dollars protecting that park from the county and our previous commissioner. And the 3 newer commissioners would not know what we have been through with protecting that park, but Commissioners Berry and Commissioner May certainly know. It was hell. It was 10 years of hell, and I am so grateful to you for finally putting this thing to rest. And we thought very hard. I mean, I've been in 10 years of conversations with attorneys. I want to give a shout out to Will Dunaway and Meredith Bush, who have been tireless advocates for this park for years. They shouldn't have had to do it. I mean, we shouldn't have been having to protect the park from the county. But unfortunately, we did. And, Allison would be very well aware that Doug was going to sell that park. I'm sorry that people did not understand that that was really what was happening. And so I know that Jesse's concerns are about parking in the park, and they're concerns that I share. We discussed it. We texted back and forth about this the other day. She tried calling me and I wasn't able to take her call. I'm concerned about parking in the park too. That's why we came up with an alternate way to do it that maybe at some point we will have to revisit. But I do not trust the legal advice that Allison is giving. This is an ordinance. It requires a certain amount of public notice. I don't want one word changed in there so that some attorney for some developer can come back in time and say, well, you guys really didn't publicly notice this ordinance well enough. So let me leave it on this. Thank you. Please pass the gavel to Commissioner Hofberger so you can make the motion on this. I just can't, it's like magic. I can't even believe that after all these years, it's finally happening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mel. Kevin Wade. Kevin, you all right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. This is great. This is great. I want to be positive, but there was a bit of fracas online. I guess maybe the county email servers didn't understand what to do when the time changed. So it took quite a while for the email servers to come back online. And I know a lot of my neighbors, I've never asked before, but could I get all the Navy Pointers to raise their hands now? Because I know quite a few did not know that they could wave in support. Yeah. And many tried to send emails, and those emails didn't go through. And
we got over 90, Kevin.
90.
Yeah, we got over 90. We heard you loud and clear.
I am so proud of this neighborhood and this park. Something that happened recently at a neighborhood watch meeting, Lois Benson showed to speak. And, it took me back to when I was a homeowner in Navy Point, and the sewer was on an option that was coming, and I was all for it. I was absolutely all for it, but I failed to do my due diligence. And ECUA built lift stations in the park. Gibbs Point has a smelly lift station, and it was really lackluster engineering. And, and at this meeting, Lois actually said that, ChatGPT helped her build her presentation, and she explained, that ChatGPT explained to her that, all right, those spots where those lift stations are the low points. They're not. And that was an easy place to go ahead and build lift stations in a park. No, ECUA should have bought the appropriate land and the appropriate machinery to have absolutely kept those from stinking up the air. But I am so glad that you brought this. Thank you, sir. Absolutely, absolutely. The shenanigans of the last few decades, you know, I have multiple hard drives filled with video, and it's, I'm so glad I don't have to come up anymore and say, hey, David, it's movie night, and show a movie. And I'm really hoping that this passes 90. Oh, thank you all. Bless you. Bless you all.
Thank you, Kevin. Jamie Farber, are you here? Jamie, are you just waving in support? Okay, come on up. It's your time.
Hold on. Let me get my spectacles here. Hold on. Sorry, how do you do this?
Just pull it down, yeah.
Hey, so I'm Jamie Zika Farber. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to approach this. I attended Navy Point Elementary from beginning to the end. Also went to preschool on Mills Avenue. So Navy Point is in here. I'm still friends with most of my people that I went to school with, or I say my people because we're each other's people. And we still talk at least once a week, I mean, with different people. And we have conversations about how we grew up and what we did growing up in there. I used to ski with my mom and dad in Navy, or in Ski Beach. My dad was Gerald Zika, and I'm really proud of him. He's since passed away. He was a Marine. My stepfather, I'm very proud of him. He is an OE3 lieutenant who is retired, first enlisted, and my husband. We're basically, I love the military, I love this community, and having the benefit of living in Los Angeles twice, actually 3 times, most recently as 2020. We moved back in 2020 after our son graduated high school, so because of government control. So therefore, I came back to my neighborhood, which I'm his neighbor, and I've lived out on Innerity Island for the past almost 40 years. I've owned my own property there since 2005. So anyways, my point is, I just don't want anything to happen to this, for big infrastructure to come in there to damage what is so special to not just me, but to the community, because I still know a lot of folks that live there. Heck, I like dropping up in there. I'm sorry for the inappropriate language there. Dropping it like it is in there. Anyways, stopping by the boat launch to catch up, to have a break before my drive home going down Gulf Beach Highway, because I have to like really prepare for it, because I run around a lot. I got a lot of friends and doing a lot of stuff. So that's whole another subject on the ride home, going, learning how to be a race car driver, which I'm professionally trained at that too. So anyways, also in the lift station, familiar with that, as I used to own Blue Angel Laundry. So, and Commissioner Wilson Robertson was the one, he and Lamar Braswell, those were my renters, so I'm familiar with the lift stations and how all that stuff works. And if it stinks over there, I'm sorry, but it just needs to be fixed. And I'm tired of the little people getting crushed on because they don't have the money or the resources. And because I am the little guy, and I've been the little guy in Los Angeles. And I'm tired of myself and for my fellow people being crunched down, being told this is the way it is. So I'm sorry, you're connecting with me, so I'm like looking at you. I'm not being ugly. So I know I have 6 seconds. Thanks. Let's keep it cool. Let's not destroy the community in which a lot of us love.
Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you.
Board, that's all the speakers. If you'll indulge me for just a minute, I'd appreciate it. I know that a lot of times in this job, most of the stuff we do is by consent. but I know from my time in the Navy, the best thing you do is listen and adjust and pivot accordingly. And this was one of those things that obviously that the neighbors in Navy Point felt very passionate about. It took me a little bit of time to be honest. I'll be straight with you. I thought, I really don't think we have an issue. Mel, I told you that, some of them, but you wanted it. And so I went to legal, and I know our legal department worked very hard. And Allison and Steve, I appreciate what you did. We went back and forth. Gosh, too much. And Jessica, I appreciate your comments, and I don't think they'd hurt, but I think in the interest of just getting this across the finish line, I'd like just to stick with the ordinance. It's not that I don't think you couldn't be right. But I want to thank the people in Navy Point for being so passionate about this. This is a long-term vision. Most of the houses in Navy Point are 3-bedroom, 1-bed, well, 3-bedroom, 2-bath houses on the water, close to the water. And the people in the community became united. I know some of the neighbors that have animosity a little bit towards each other, but this united the whole community. I guess that's probably the best way to say it. But I talked to everyone, and you guys know that. So I'm proud to, I'm going to pass the gavel to the vice chair, and I hope that the board will support me on this. And I got your back, Navy Point, and thanks for showing up. With that said, I would like to make a motion to adopt 536 to consider the ordinance, the new ordinance regulating the Navy Point subdivision park. Can I have a second? Second, please vote. Commissioner May, oh, thank you very much. Motion passes 5-0. Yeehaw! Thank you all. All right. Thank you, board, for enduring that, but that meant a lot to that community. All right, we're at 5:37. We have no speakers. Can I get a motion to move?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second, please vote. Okay, motion passes 5-0. Okay, we're at the clerk and comptroller's report. Cody?
Yeah, there's 4 items on the clerk and comptroller's report. The first is the TDT collection data for August of 2025, collected in September. Shows a slight decrease for that month, but increase year to date. The second is a recommendation concerning documents for filing. The third is a recommendation concerning minutes and reports. And the fourth is a recommendation concerning transfer of machinery and equipment to the sheriff's office.
Okay, do we have a motion to move?
Move the clerk's report.
Okay. So, okay, there's a motion. Second, please vote. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Cody. Horace, we're at GMR. We do have one speaker for GMR 1, GMR 2, and GMR 4.
We have the 545. This is the public hearing concerning a small-scale map amendment, moving it from RC to industrial, a small-scale map amendment to approve.
Okay, it's Meredith Bush. I think you're just waving in support? Oh, for all three. Okay, good, board. So we have no further speakers?
Mr. Chairman, I move the 545 in GMR.
Okay, second. All right, please vote. Okay, Commissioner May, did you vote? Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't see it. Motion passes 5-0. Okay, Horace.
And the next item is the rezoning request in conjunction with the small-scale map amendment from HCLI to RC, the rezoning to approve.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the item to adopt the findings A and B.
Okay, is there a second? All right, please vote. Motion passes 5-0. Okay, Horace?
Yes.
We're at number 4 or 3?
Then we have the 546 for the consideration of the adoption of the ordinance amend the official map Z25-07.
Second.
Please vote. All right, 546 passes 5-0. All right, we're at the GMR 1-4.
Yes, then we have the next item is rezoning case Z 2025-08 from ACLI Heavy Commercial Light Industrial to, get me to my page. No, I'm sorry, from HDMU to Heavy Commercial Light Industrial. The planning board made a recommendation for approval.
So are there any speakers on that?
No, it was Meredith, but she waved in support.
And there's no oppositions at the planning board, Howard?
We all good. Mr. Stewart is here.
All right, I'll move the item.
Second.
Okay, please vote. Motion passes 5-0.
The next item is the adoption of the rezoning map for Z 2025-08.
So move.
Second.
All right, please vote. Motion passes 5-0.
Yes, so then we have our consent agenda with an amendment to the 545 to the first item to be pulled for December the 4th. That item to be pulled, that rezoning case.
There's no speakers, board.
I move it with dropping 545, Horace, and I'd like to talk to you about it before it comes back.
Second.
Yes, sir.
So we're dropping the 545, that's
Yes.
the motion?
And that's
Okay.
of the rest of the consent
All
agenda.
right, please vote. Okay, motion passes 5-0.
Then we have the remaining consent agenda items.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Horace. Wes, we're at the county administrator report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There are 16 items on the technical public service consent agenda. Car 1-3, please drop. Car 1-3, removal and disposal of dilapidated boat and trailer from Ruby's Fish Camp Road. There are no speakers.
I move the balance.
Second.
Please vote. All right, motion passes 6-0. We're at budget and finance, Wes.
There are 42 items on the budget finance consent agenda. There are no changes. There are no speakers.
Okay. Have a
Wes.
motion to move that balance?
Yeah, hold on one second. Just if we would.
Did I hear
No,
one?
yeah, no, it's fine. I just want to hold.
Oh, you want to hold one?
Yeah, I have.
Okay, stand by.
Yeah, hold on. And just for a question. No, it's not TDC.
You know which one you're looking for, Commissioner May?
Yeah, no, yeah. Yeah, just a question, Wes. We don't even have to hold it. This agreement with armed security, we're not adding anything.
Wes?
We'll just move it. I'll just hold it. I'll just hold it.
Holding car 36.
Do you know which item?
Car 36, car 2-36.
Okay, so we'll hold 36, and then I guess you want to have a discussion?
No, I was holding 33.
33.
Okay. Oh, this is the security guard's one. Okay. So do we have a motion to move the rest of the balance?
So move.
All right, please vote. All right, Commissioner May,
So,
what's on your mind?
no, Wes, just a point of clarification. We're not adding officers or doing anything any different. It's just continuing the contract, correct?
Well, it's continuing contract, but we are adding an officer to the fourth floor lobby, an armed guard on the fourth floor lobby.
Okay. Just adding one to the fourth floor. That's what that is?
Correct.
Okay. That's fine. I'm move the item.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Please vote. Motion passes 5-0. Westward card, 3 car.
Wes, and just because, through the week, I didn't pull it, but can at some point, Ashley, when you chair, can we put MOB, PTO, and leave as a committee of the whole to discuss the leave and benefits that we're having for our employees? The leave, the PTO, the MOB, and the PTO, and add it as my next item that I'd like to discuss at the committee of the whole, if you would add that. When you're chair, whenever my time comes, please. Thanks.
Commissioner May, do you want that as a separate committee of the whole item, or?
Just add it to one of them. Yeah, it should be brief.
So the leave regarding what positions?
All leave, employee leave.
Okay, so like working with HR to come up with a new
Yeah,
leave
just-
package?
Well, yeah, I think it'll be great to just at least have the discussion so people will be informed, so we can all know where we are. To me, it'll be a great information and a great discussion item.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Wes, we're at 3 car.
There are 3 items on for discussion. Card 3-1 is confirming the board's support related to county funding for the Foiling Wheat Pensacola event.
Do you want to hold this, Commissioner Stroberger? You don't want to hold it? No. You just want to?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I mean, you want to move all 3 items? I mean,
So, I mean, I guess my question is, are we moving to pay $375,000? Is that's, if we move it, that's correct, Wes?
Well, before we do that, how about if I introduce the Foiling Week co-founder?
So you do want to hold it?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll hold one. There's no speakers on any of this. Does anyone want to move the balance?
R3, you have to make a selection.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. We got to vote on 3.
Yeah, that's right. Sorry,
All
guys.
we can move is 2.
Mike, we can't move them as a slate
I know,
anyway.
I know. Yeah, I made a mistake.
I'll move card 2-2, 3-2, Mike, if that's
Okay,
fine.
is there a second?
Sure, second.
Please vote. Okay, car 3-2 passes, and then to have a motion to move car 3-3. Oh, we got to vote on that. So we have to vote on 3-3, guys. It's, we only have one position that we can add for the TDC.
Here you go.
Mr. Chairman, we have District 1 for Mary Hoxing, District 2 for Mary Hoxing, District 3 for Shirley Cronley, District 4 for Mary Hoxing, and District 5 for Shirley Cronley. That's a total of 2 votes for Shirley Cronley and 3 for Mary Hoxing.
Okay, they're both very good candidates. Tough decision, but does someone want to make a motion to move Mary Hoxing?
I'll make a motion that we move to put Mary Hoxing on the Tourism Development Council.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right, please vote. Motion passes 5-0. Okay, we're back to CAR 3-1. All right, Commissioner Stroberger.
Yeah, I'd like to ask Scott Over to come to the podium. Scott's the co-founder and the owner, one of the owners of Foiling Week. Scott, when you get up there, can you tell us just a little bit about yourself first before we begin?
Yeah, sure. Need to raise that a little bit. Can I plug in my laptop here? Is there a...
We get some IT assistants up on the podium.
Thank you. HDMI, maybe? Or plug it straight in? I have a HDMI. The next one's a HDMI, I think. Yeah. Thank you very much.
That will, it might, I think this might be set up a certain way. Oh, it's good. See if that will work.
Yeah, no, I got it. I was confused. No, it happens. I mean,
Yep.
I saw your frustrations.
Let's just wait.
So we got to work together, man. I mean, we're not always going to be aligned, but it's, you'll see, it's.
Got a spinning wheel of doom.
I think the Sunshine House looks, because I'm not, because I mean, I know I could talk to you and if I disagree. I disagree somehow, I'll tell them respectfully why I feel the way I do. But I didn't know this Navy Point thing was going to take legs. They put flyers all over. Well, she told me that, yeah.
Wait, one sec. There you go. I think I'm ready. Thank you. Thank you very much for inviting me here tonight. I'm Scott Over. Like Steve said, I'm from the UK. So born and raised in south of England. I'm a sailor, and I've worked in sport my entire life. And I'm here today representing Foiling Week, Pensacola. So we ran an event in February, March this year, which was our inaugural event, which was supported by the county. And we loved it in our first year. We had some great success, and I wanted to just show you a quick video to summarize some of the stuff that we've done. Hopefully the sound works.
Yeah, how long's the video? Is it just a few minutes?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
1.5 minutes.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was going to be a movie. Yeah, as I
No,
say,
it's not a
I better
mo- it's
ask
not a
before we
movie.
get too far into this. So, well, you know, it could be 30 minutes.
You can't hear this, but this is the various activations. We had 4 sites and 181 competitors from around the world. We used the bay and we also used the beach, and we tried to engage with as many different local communities as possible, as well as bringing in all of our international sailors. Foiling is been around in Europe for quite a long time, but in the US it's just starting to grow. And it's basically sailing but flying in the water. And it means that we can go 5 or 6 times the speed of a normal displacement boat. Through the Satori Foundation, we hosted Dixon School for a day, showed them all about the boats and how they fly. We engaged with the Blue Angels.
Be it with American Magic or be it with Foiling Week, what's happening is just a natural progression. Man, I had a blast. It was really fun. We did a whole new flat water format for us. In a sense, it's like dynamic meditation.
Is there any questions? I got a couple questions. So, I know maybe Commissioner Hopperger, you're on the TDC, but you want funding, which I think I brought up with you guys earlier today. I thought was for this year, but now, well, I thought
we did
that,
get
but
it
now
this
you
year.
want it for 27, correct?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, and so wouldn't we normally take that to the TDC if it's a year out? I'm in favor of this, but they're not asking for money in 26, I heard today, right?
No, because 26 is way too late now. So for us, we need a long runway, and we can't guarantee a successful event with only a 4-month lead-in. So what we're approaching now is we're looking for a long-term 3-year commitment, but from 27 onwards, because that will allow us, and I've put it in here, it will allow us to block the calendar for all of our sailors that are coming from from Australia, New Zealand, Europe, Asia, and we want to be able to also give ourselves a long enough runway that we can engage with local stakeholders, bring in sponsorship, get more engagement from spectators. But if we only give them 4 months to plan something like that, it will be a scramble. And what I want to do is I want to make a huge success, and I want to activate the bay in the best way possible. And to do that, we need a longer time frame to plan and to activate. If we have 4 or 5 months, it's not enough time to plan a major event. And the consistency that we've seen in other events with a long runway, we've got a lot more opportunity for success.
Okay, I see Chairman Bears there, you don't want to speak, but do we normally do 3 years? I'm in support of this. I want to make sure we're not setting a precedent. I want to ask a couple questions if y'all don't mind. I mean, I do think this is a good thing. I just want to respect the TDC board too. Without the board, and I don't even know if we have the votes, honestly, but I'd just like to hear what the board would normally do in this situation.
So historically, we have done multi-year commitments. We did the American Magic was a 3-year commitment, $500,000 a year for 3 years. In the past, we did the Naval Aviation Museum. We did a $100,000 a year for 10 years, and then after that 10 years, we just continued to do another $100,000, and one year we did $200,000, but we've made those multi-year commitments before. And I think the American Magic came through the TDC, recommended to your board. I think the Naval Aviation Museum just came straight to your board and was approved, but that was 20 years ago probably now.
Okay. What was the reason the board didn't approve it? Just so I kind of, what do you do? Does anyone want to give me some? I didn't watch the video, so maybe I should have. I know.
So it's David. You want to take it or you want me to?
You go ahead. I voted in favor of it.
Well, I don't want to cause hostility. I think this is a good thing.
So there were some concerns among the board, specifically the amount of money that they were asking for compared to the room ratio. So their room multiplier is $129 per night. Most of our other ones are under $50 a night, so that was a concern. And then in their application, it said this event will continue to grow, more than doubling the number of participants for year 2, which is 2026. But then there were no sponsorships sold, so they were solely dependent upon the TDC dollars to make the event happen. So the board was hesitant to give them money if they didn't have sponsorship dollars.
Would you like to clarify? Were you at this? I don't think you were at the meeting. You were?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
go ahead.
We have other forms of funding because we're a global series. So what we do is we pull in revenues from other events to subsidize the first year here in Pensacola. The issue that we have, though, is that if we do not have a long-term commitment, it's very hard for us to ask sponsors to commit to a one-off pilot event. So within Garda, for example, we have many, many sponsors that have been with us for many, many years. But for us here in Pensacola, if we knew that we were coming back for 3 years, we could tell our global partners, right, we're coming, come with us, and then activate in the Bay.
The dates, I remember the first year was around Mardi Gras. Are we adjusting those dates for?
Yeah, we don't want to come back during Mardi Gras.
When are you thinking about doing it?
End of March.
End of March, okay.
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
What percentage of the funding that you're asking for, what percentage of your budget is this? You said you have outside sponsors?
Yeah,
What percentage of the operating budget is?
I think it's about a third. About a third. So when we were here last year, a lot of the money was invested, and it's also with regards to short lead times, logistic costs go ballistic to get from Europe to here. So one of our biggest costs is to get all of the containerized boats over. But yeah.
And didn't you tell me you had several people here for like 10 to 14 days? I thought there was.
We had
Commissioner
training.
Hoffberger was sharing. I thought there was more bed days, but maybe. How many people you think would be here in 27 through 29? I know you probably can't commit to that, but I think that's important to know.
I think we probably could. We could probably say it's going to be between 250 and 300 if we get commitment now. We can also get the classes engaged straight away, which allows us to get on the calendar for 27 early. But in addition to that, we can also work with the classes to bring their major events under the Foiling Week banner. So that means that instead of having classes attend Foiling Week, we can also have classes attend Foiling Week that are continental championships or world championships, which also garner like much higher numbers.
So does Visit Pensacola help market this?
Sorry, tell me again.
Does Visit Pensacola help market this?
Yes.
But the marketing and promotion, you don't pay Visit, you pay that directly to whoever's marketing it to, some other.
Yeah, we have our in-house marketing team, and we also have a production team, and we have a distribution team that uses broadcast and distribution, and that's global.
I mean, it would just be obviously, I'll be supportive, but.
Scott, can you tell us who some of your sponsors are?
Historically,
Who you'd expect to get for sponsors? Yeah.
So last year we had Tesla, We've had Vaqueros. We've had, in the past with many of our sailing events, SAP, Rolex, Omega, global brands. So that's
So what's your ask from TDC dollars?
375.
375, and it's about a $857,000 or $1 million budget?
Yep.
Okay. So, and I guess, Commissioner Stroberg, I'm sorry. The marketing that you have, I guess, $300,000 in marketing, what does Visit spend on marketing to help market this?
I'm not too sure. I wouldn't know what.
And the only reason I would just say,
Yeah,
hopefully
I'm
there's
not
not
sure.
duplication of services. If you're spending $300,000 to market an event, how much is Visit spending to market this event as well?
Yeah.
Just so there's no duplication of
Yep.
marketing.
And also, I think our marketing is very sports specific. So from a destination point of view, it targets sports tourism rather than what Visit do. So in that sense, there shouldn't be too much overlap. And we target typically Australia, New Zealand, Western Europe, and then North and South America. Not a great deal in Asia.
And it's late. It'll be my final question because Commissioner Stroberg understands
just
this
wanna
and I'm leading. I just have one more question, Commissioner Stroberg. So what entails events? The operations, it says it's like $500,000 for event expenses. What's event expenses? It's just not broken down here at all.
Yeah. So a lot of our event expenses will be infrastructure. So some of the fencing, the marquees, the setup, but then also on water. So with regards to on water, we need ribs, we need support vessels, we need race committee boats, and then also logistics. So from a logistics point of view, each of those boats are containerized and will be shipped from one event to the next.
Are these internationally sanctioned races?
Are we?
Yeah.
Yeah, we are a world sailing special event. So we sit on the same level as the America's Cup, the Ocean Race, World Match Racing Tour, and then we sit alongside the Olympics. So the Olympics have 3 classes within Foiling Week. So they're a development program.
Commissioner Stroberger?
Yeah, so after the last Foiling Week, right after that, I remember during Commissioners Forum, I had given some numbers from Foiling Week. I've gotten them from you.
Yep.
They were better than the initial numbers that we'd gotten. I think I had said 128 foilers that day, but it was 181. So it was
Correct.
much more successful. Even at 128, it was the largest foiling event ever in North America. So it
correct.
still is, and it has been. There were 18 Olympians. I don't know if there was more than that. And there were 8 Olympic gold medalists that participated.
Yeah.
I think that's fantastic. And I've had conversations with Mr. Baer about this. I believe what he believes. I think other commissioners may believe the same thing, that this is more than heads and beds, because we know that these folks are going to spend more when they come here. The manufacturers, all those, everybody who comes here is going to spend a little bit more than the average vacationer that comes to Pensacola. And they're coming from everywhere. I listed, American foilers, Australia, New Zealand, Switzerland, Italy, England, Germany. They were from everywhere. And I mentioned in another meeting that you showed me, I think it was you, it was either you or Luca showed me a photograph of a guy who was watching, I think it was in Crete.
Cyprus.
It was in Cyprus, Cyprus, who was watching Foiling Week in Cyprus on the TV in a bar.
I think he sent a message to Luca saying, "Get off my TV screen.
Yeah.
I didn't move to Cyprus to see
Yeah,
you."
so it's big, and I know that you guys can market it the right way. I think when you said that I don't know how you said it. You said that you're not going to be able to meet your own expectations. It's your expectations for this year because we got such a short runway. So
Well, my issue is that if I was to take money today for next year, that wouldn't go anywhere near where it would go if we were to do it in 27.
Right.
Just purely because of time frame. And the later you leave it, the less likely you are to get full class intake.
Yeah.
And also, you're not going to get buy-in from sponsors with 4 or 5 months out.
Yes. Yep. I agree. And this was more successful than the first one you had in Garda. I think you remember telling me that too.
Well, yes, to be fair, foiling hadn't really been very well established at that point 10 years ago. But yeah, absolutely. We had 60 boats. We had 60 in Garda, and now we're 500. Mm-hmm. And on top of the 500, we've got industry that has moved to Garda for composites, for boat building. There's some of the best boat builders in the world in Garda now.
Yeah. And you think those boat builders could come to Pensacola?
Well, they haven't got a base in the U.S., and they need a base in the U.S.
Yeah.
Actually, it might be quite good for Chris. I'll just, if I can ask Chris to come up from a economic impact, it would probably be.
So, yeah, this is definitely a tourism event that will eventually become a major economic development tool for us. We've got the MOU with the foiling organization. Coming out of this, we had a business roundtable or business forum, and from there had several leads on boat builders as well as folks that kind of all over it, whether it's battery components, whether it's gyroscope components, things that are all in the boats that they're constructing. As a result of this, actually, we're leaving in a week to go to Amsterdam to be as a part of their booth for one of the major maritime shows. And they're opening up their Rolodex to allow us to meet with folks, create those introductions as a result of that MOU. So the continued relationship with Foiling Week is critical, I think, in trying to grow Pensacola as the center of excellence for foiling. It does not have an anchor in the United States. Let's make it that in Pensacola. And I think supporting Foiling Week and creating an event, the Paris Air Show started with a bunch of guys, 10 guys flying airplanes, and what it's become today. Imagine what Foiling Week will become if we continue to support that and all the industries and jobs that will come with it.
So, Chris, this creates jobs?
It will in time, because we've already got several boat manufacturers that are looking at us. The water is perfect. We don't necessarily need the port to do that. They can build it anywhere within the county, drop it at the barge port up near FPL, as well as over by Patty Marine. We can, there's other places you can drop in the water.
So you consider this an economic development project as well as a tourism project, because it's going to create sustainable and permanent jobs, is what I'm hearing from
Correct.
you.
I think you can use tourism to feed economic development, and that's this is one of those projects.
So you're working hand in hand with Visit and Darren on this project. Is Visit supportive of this project?
You'd have to talk to him. I'm not sure. We have not.
But he'd have to work with you if it's going to be economic development.
I'm sorry.
I said he would have to work with you if it's tourism and economic development. I think y'all would have to work hand in hand.
But they would work with that side of it. We would work with the economic development side. But again, like you're talking about the exposure, the free marketing that comes with that of just being across the globe, you're not going to get that without something like this here.
So
thank you, Chris.
Is Tesla a supporter because these things are used with batteries? Why is Tesla a supporter of this?
Well, I think pure marketing spend. So they wanted to grow their brand in Italy and Southern Europe, but also, yes, battery technology within.
Is the batteries that they use their Tesla batteries on these things?
Not on our boats, on our support boats. So now that a lot of the boats are becoming electrified, and a lot of the electrification then leads to foiling. So the support boat, as an example, for many of the America's Cups are battery powered or hydrogen powered, but the technology is still there. So the innovation through foiling means that you get a far more efficient sailing or motorboat because it just cuts through the waves. So you go at much higher velocity.
No, I just was kind of wondering. I didn't even know they ran on batteries, honestly.
But also, so our sailboats don't, but our sailboats require composites as well. So carbon fiber, it's high technology that's used on our boats all the time, and it requires high levels of skill to build them. So yeah, there's a couple of industries and a couple of overlaps. For example, Persico, they are one of the best boat builders in the world, which is in northern Italy. and they also build rockets. So they're involved in the aerospace industry, and also, so there's a lot of overlap between the technologies that we're seeing in our race boats, our support boats, and then other industries.
Does this tie in any way with American Cup, American Magic, with the other things that we're doing?
Yeah, so I
do they
think-
all complement each other in some way?
Yeah, so in Garda, I think we probably had 40 America's Cup sailors, so they all play with us. And then here, I think we probably had 6 or 7 America's Cup sailors. With the Moths as a class, the top Moth sailors are all helmsmen on America's Cup boats. So essentially, if you want to pick the best helm for the America's Cup, you would look at the Moth class, and that's where your talent ID is.
And so the spectator, I know Commissioner just said that it's typically these spectators or visitors spend a little more. Where do they come? Are these spectators coming from international travelers or regional travelers? Where are they coming from? I guess
Yeah.
if they're international, the room nights are triple what they would be if they're just regional. So where are they
Yeah, and I
coming from?
think to put it in a bit more perspective, typically when I was racing in the States, I raced in Newport, Rhode Island, Miami, San Diego, or San Francisco, and we never raced here in Pensacola, ever. And tomorrow I fly to San Diego to race. And when you look across the bay, when you see the ingredients that you have geographically that no one can pay for, you should be sailing every single day. I would be sailing every single day here. And the barrier island that you have in Santa Rosa, the contrast between the Gulf and the bay means that we can have multiple disciplines at the same time, because you can be surfing and at the same time you can be foiling the other side. So you have a natural geography that is perfect for us, and very few destinations have that.
Okay, talk about your trip to San Diego, Cabo, and that racing circuit you talked about earlier with me today.
Yeah, so I think because the world, the sports world, has flicked its attention from Paris 24 to LA 28, everyone is now looking at the US as requiring training, requiring competition. And so instead of it being very European focused after COVID and no one really wanting to move from there, everyone is now looking west. And with us in San Diego, we've ran events there before, and we've also ran events in Cabo. And what we're looking to do is fire that up as a potential series. So, but it's in the winter. So in the European winter, you wouldn't go anywhere near the water, whereas in San Diego, in Cabo, and here, I would happily sail in February, March, April. And the European season doesn't start until April for Olympic class regattas, and that's in Palma, so Southern Europe.
And some of those jobs that you're talking about?
I think to add to that, yeah. So if we could get a commitment for 3 years, it means that we can commit to employing someone. So I don't need to fly across the pond every time you guys have a meeting. No offense, I love coming here, but 14 hours on a plane is good. And I think I've probably done.
So you don't know, there's no staff? No staff cost in any of the money that you're getting. It's all volunteers. There's no staff cost in any of this.
So we have central staff costs, yeah. So, but they're.
But for this event, I mean, there's no staff cost, right? It's all going for events, promotion, marketing, and all that.
Not for this money, no. We would fund those. So we have a team of photographers, of filmmakers. We have on-water race officials. We have a PRO that's done 5 Olympic Games. Primary race officer. So the principal race officer. So he would then run the regatta. So he's a professional that comes in, because the boats are so fast. Then we need a professional on the water.
But we would have trained personnel here for Foiling Week that would also supplement your other races, including San
that's the
Diego and
idea.
Cabo.
So if we get a firmer base here in the US, which is the intention of us, but also of US sailing. So I think a letter was sent from US Sailing, and could probably bring it up, but endorsing Foiling Week and wanting it to be settled in the US. And one of the advantages, very crudely, of being in Pensacola is it's far cheaper than the 4 other places that I mentioned. So what we can do is if we were to run training camps, if I ran a training camp in Long Beach, it would cost me 3 or 4 times the amount that it would cost to be here. So we can be here for longer, and more teams can stay for longer.
Do you guys charge registration fees, and what are those like?
So part of our revenue model would be around 40,000. I think we took in
for each one.
No.
Wow.
No. It's around 180 to 300 per boat, depending on the class. Yeah.
I don't have any other questions. I think.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I mean, you're going to either call a vote or you're going to, I mean, you may have a quorum, but I'm going to be gone. I mean,
Does someone want to make a motion or? Oh,
I mean,
I'm
somebody
sorry,
needs to make a
Commissioner
motion. I mean, we went around the world. I mean.
I'll make a motion.
Well, I have
At
a
some
question.
point.
My mic's not on. So the economic development side, I can really appreciate. And Chris, I think when we did your interview, you mentioned that you go to an air show somewhere over there, and then you brought back a lot of business to your hometown. This is high for a TDC ask, but if we could half it with TDC and economic development, it would be much more in line with the other things that the TDC board approves. So I think that would be very respectful to the TDC board, and it would drive home the fact that it is economic development, if that's something we're interested in.
Commissioner Berry?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we fund it in the way it's presented, $375,000 per year for 3 years from TDT.
Is that your motion?
I second
That is
it.
my motion.
Okay, there's a motion and second. Please vote. Okay. Congratulations. Hopefully you do great things for our area. I'm kind of excited. I am really excited about
need to get
see
you
where
on the
this
water.
goes. Huh?
I need to get you on the water.
Oh, trust me. I swim, I dive, whatever you want, buddy.
Can I just say one more thing? I just
No,
wanna
you
take-
got the money. You got the money. You got the money.
Thank you.
I mean, we got to go. You got the money.
It's more to say thank you very much to
Mr.
Bobby.
Switzer.
So Bobby has
Yeah.
been my home and my uncle here in the U.S. So really
Well,
appreciate
not
all
Mr.
his
Bear?
help. Oh, these two guys are the same, but really Bobby's been a fantastic host, and he's pushed us to do this. So thank
Alan
you very much.
McMillan likes you too, and so does Susan. So I only have one neighbor against you guys. All right, thank you. Good.
Thank you very
Congratulations.
much. Thank you all.
I want to go
All
forward.
right, board,
Thanks,
we're
Scott.
up to the county attorney report. Allison?
There are 5 items on tonight's county attorney's report. I can answer any questions.
I
move all 5 if I can go forward.
Second.
Okay. Please vote. Motion passes 5-0.
Never been to the public.
Man, it's almost kind of sad, the last meeting here. I thought we'd go a little later, but.
Mr. Chairman?
I'm getting you out so you can go
Hold
forward.
on, Wes has a comment, and then we'll.
Yeah, well, I don't have a comment. I was going to answer Ms. Commissioner Hoffberger's question about the firefighter raise. So the board did approve that, of course, for all the county employees. We negotiated that with the union. They signed the MOU. We brought the MOU to the board. The board did approve it. That actually went to HR. They completed the HR actions. From there, it went to budget. Budget honestly was positioned out and in the middle of doing all the things they needed to do for the year-end budgetary cycle and then all the deadlines that had to be met. And we did wind up missing the deadline for this payday. It will be on the next payday's check retroactively. That's what happened.
Was this the only department that got missed, or were there other departments within the county?
No, this was the only department that got missed, simply because it is a union action and it involved an MOU. The classified employees and non-union employees did not have to go through that process, and some of the other unions also did not have to go through that process. But that's what happened.
Thank you.
Commissioner Stroberger, do you have one more thing? Okay, board, we're adjourned. Have a great evening.